London, but a very different tunnel altogether. We head to Wembley, and Pat Nevin, this is the moment in that tunnel where those players will just be gathering their thoughts, trying to take it all in, trying to make sure they don't make a nervy start that it's lost before it begins, as we saw in the Scottish Cup semi-final yesterday.
I suppose I go back to one of the FA Cup semi-finals I played, and it is that very, very odd thing where you are excited, you are looking forward to it, but you do know no one remembers who lost on an FA Cup semi-final. You know, it is one of the horrible games. You can have a great run in the Cup, but if you lose in the semi-final, no one remembers, and if you are the one that causes the mistake that leads to the goal, then you'll be remembered by your own fans in a negative way. So yeah, there is a bit of nervousness, I would imagine, for a lot of the players going down there today, but I just get the feeling that I think they're more excited. I think these two teams in particular, because they've got this far, it's almost a no-lose situation in the fact that there isn't any real expectation for either team to get to an FA Cup final. So in a way, I hope it works out that they can go out and attack. And the way the two teams are set out just now, in the very open looking 4-4-2s, we could get that open game, and we could get a much better game than yesterday.
Old-fashioned FA Cup semi-final. I agree with you, Pat Nevin. Let's head back down to the touchline from the commentary box to Mike Sewell, who will see the teams out under the new improved Wembley turf.
What an incredible atmosphere here, Colin. Yesterday, for the Manchester United-Manchester City game, the City fans in particular were extremely noisy, but I think because this is such a rare occasion for both Bolton and Stoke, both sets of fans are singing their hearts out. Even I was close to joining in the rendition of the Stoke fans' Tom Jones' Delilah.
I think that would be partisan in the extreme, Mike.
We're just waiting for the two teams, Colin. They're both in the tunnel. The two captains, Ryan Shawcross of Stoke and Kevin Davis of Bolton. They're going to be led out by the referee, Howard Webb.
Kevin Davis, of course, talked to us here in Five Live Sport today, saying it was just another game. Mike, I can't imagine that's the thought he's having right now at the front of that Bolton team.
Particularly as he came so close to reaching a final, didn't he, with Chesterfield 14 years ago. I guess he's probably a little bit more calmer than he might have been when he was 20 years of age. But this is a big day for him and a big day for all those players in the tunnel. And they're just getting the signal right now to come out of the tunnel from the various representatives of the Football Association. Everything has to be done to time, and here they come.
And what a roar it'll be. Two sets of fans who desperately want to make this FA Cup final. As we said before, Stoke fans are certifiably the loudest in the Premier League, but Bolton fans will match them all the way. A massive, massive game. The right to play Manchester City in the FA Cup final. We'll get their commentary team, and hopefully this game will be as good as we all imagine it will be. Alan Green, Pat Nevin and Mike Ingham.
Thank you very much. London Marathon Day, of course. Marathon runs coming to an end, perhaps in the FA Cup as well, because we've got Manchester City through to the final for the first time in 30 years. They haven't won the trophy for 42 years. And here we have Bolton Wanderers, 53 years on from the Nat Lofthouse final against Stoke, who have never been to an FA Cup final. Lovely day. Wembley is not completely full. Stoke City seem to have taken their allocation. Bolton, but they do have the lucky end. That's just lately the teams have had the fans to the right who've won these big games. Bolton are to the right, and here are the lineups. First of all, Bolton Wanderers. Two changes from the last team that played against West Ham. Alonso, the fullback, is replaced by the more experienced Robinson, and the other change is forced on Bolton because Sturridge is ineligible and Klasnic, the Croatian, comes in. So the Bolton team: Jääskeläinen, Steinson, Cahill, Knight and Robinson, Lee, Elmander, Muamba, Petrov, Klasnic and Davis. Stoke City, just the one change. It was anticipated that Sorensen would come back in goal. So the Stoke lineup is Sorensen, Wilkinson, Shawcross the captain, Huth, Wilson. Remember, poor Danny Higginbottom's out now for a very long time, so Wilson's at left back. Then Pennant, Delap, Whelan, Etherington, Walters and Jones. I suppose, Pat, the only sort of unknown quantity here about this game, we had players here yesterday very familiar with Wembley Stadium. Not too many of these guys have experienced it, so we just wait and see how it's going to affect them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that can be in a positive or a negative way, you know. I mean, if they are nervous, that sometimes can lead to a more open game. If there are more mistakes lead to goals. So, and it's what you always want if you're in a big occasion. If you do get an early goal for either, and it is either side today, either side. Sometimes yesterday I thought if you got an early goal for Man City, it could have completely wrecked the game. Whereas today, an early goal for either side, then the other will just charge in and go for it. So, I mean, I hope that happens, and I hope it isn't a mistake. I hope it's just good play that leads to it.
It's been sort of branded as a set-piece final. But looking, I'm just reading those names out. There's enough talent there, isn't there, out there, particularly in the wide positions, to give us a good game.
Yeah, there's a lot of players that I like, but and funnily enough, a lot of players who are underrated. I think Chung Young Lee, for me, as a player, is possibly, I could argue, is the most underrated player in the Premiership playing today. I do believe he got Player of the Year for Bolton this year, and Players Player of the Year, and Fans Player of the Year, and the Ball Boys Player of the Year as well, probably. Now, you don't get that out of a fluke. That's people that are watching you and playing you every week. So if Lee, who's not the most famous name here as a player, can do something special, but so can Petrov, so can Kevin Davis and Stoke similarly. And the wide areas, you mentioned it to me before, the wide players, they could be vital today.
Well, Lee is a very famous Bolton surname, and of course Francis Lee began at Bolton and went on to Manchester City. I bet he's watching today, and I bet he'd love a Bolton-Manchester City final. But the most famous name associated with Bolton Wanderers, Nat Lofthouse, who sadly passed away earlier in the year. Seen lots of Lofthouse shirts outside the stadium, the number 9. Wouldn't it be fitting from their point of view if Elmander, maybe wearing the number 9 today, made a big impact? The other thing to tell you about Bolton, as both sides go into a huddle here, is that Jussi Jääskeläinen, the goalkeeper, who's been at Bolton for 14 seasons, is playing today for the 504th time. And the reason in particular you need to know that is because that is now one better than Nat Lofthouse's record, Pat.
It's quite incredible. And again, with the way stories happen at Wembley, if he had an absolute sparkler of a game, you wouldn't be surprised.
And so we are ready, and Stoke City defend the half in the sunshine away to our left. They will play from left to right. Bolton will get the game underway. Kevin Davis, fresh from his 20 minutes here for England against Montenegro. The Bolton captain claps his hands. Petrov, I see down this near side, former Manchester City player, of course, I'm sure, would love to get through to play them. Howard Webb, the World Cup final referee, gets this second semi-final underway. We had a sluggish start to yesterday's game as the ball drops into the Stoke penalty area and Robert Huth follows it behind for a goal kick. One of the questions of the day, as we mentioned Robert Huth, the German, is why is Lothar Matthäus here? We've seen him here today, great decorated German player, sitting in the sunshine watching, and Sorensen now, very experienced, both of these goalkeepers, prepares to take his first kick. All in yellow away to our left. Stoke in their familiar red and white stripes, Bolton in white, and the ball into the Bolton half. Knight lets it travel on. Cahill's there with a stooping header. Robinson will clear. Slides the ball to Petrov. Good ball infield to Klasnic. Klasnic now looking to release Petrov once more. Cross comes Shawcross. Petrov trying to get an early ball in, and he hits Shawcross on the heel, and Bolton have a throw in by the corner flag, and they often look for Davis. The ball will be left to Robinson. By the way, all the talk of Delap, of course, Steinson on the other side can also get a good long throw in for Bolton. This is a short throw. Robinson to Petrov. Petrov now playing the ball into feet towards Davis. Klasnic tumbles over in the penalty area, and Stoke City now looking to clear. Bolton just settling down quicker here as Wilkinson, the fullback, chips a high ball into the Bolton half. Knight climbs all over Jones, and it's a free kick.
Don't know what Jones could. Jones obviously just leaned back there. I have no idea what Knight or Cahill, if they have to come over the top, really, if he's going to lean and bend over like that. So it was clever play by Kenwyne Jones there, but I think he got the referee conned a little bit there.
Right, here's Jermaine Pennant Champions League finalists with Liverpool standing over the ball. And here's a chance. We talked about set pieces. Stoke, of course, experts from these positions. Will Pennant deliver, or will he play this one short? Pennant stands back. Jones waits to run in with the free kick. In it goes. Bolton headed away to the far side of the field. Lee looks to get his first touch and hammers the ball long back into the Stoke half. And it's allowed to bounce a couple of times by Wilson. And then Wilson finds Etherington for the first time. Etherington, though, is checked as Lee helps out the defenders. In goes Moamba. And Howard Webb didn't like the challenge. It's a free kick.
Yeah, he probably got that one right. Jones stuck his leg in, took the hit. But Tony Pulis is down there. He's doing his nut, because the one thing you don't do when you've got the power plays that Stoke have got is you don't hit the first man with a free kick. And exactly what Jermaine Pennant did there. I'm sure with the ear bashing he's got from his manager, he will not be doing that again.
You're listening to 5 Live at Wembley. Free kick is taken. Walters almost onto that. Jääskeläinen had to give away a corner kick. Jääskeläinen concedes the first corner of the game. And it goes without saying, obviously, we'll keep you in touch with the Arsenal-Liverpool game in the Premier League, running simultaneously with this. But now here at Wembley, in this second semi-final, the two centre-backs of Stoke go forward. Wilson, the full-back's there. It's a corner kick down the far side, the left, but it'll be headed away easily by Moamba. And once more, Tony Pulis, as Pat Nevin was saying, won't be happy with the delivery.
Yeah, I mean, that's number one. I mean, you can put a terrible ball in there, even put it too close to the goalkeeper. I mean, you can get something out of that, i.e. you can put a little bit of pressure on the goalkeeper, but you've got to get it past the first man.
Throw to Stoke, just inside the Bolton half. It's struck long into the Bolton area. Jääskeläinen saves and tumbles over, makes a very good catch, and prepares to relaunch Bolton Wanderers. Tony Peel, sorry, Pat.
Yeah, it's a big day for Jääskeläinen, isn't it? We've already seen that from open play they're just lumping it in towards him, and he's so far he's looked very, very steady, but he will be pressured today.
Clears towards Davis. Gets in first for Stoke City. The ball down on the ground now, and it's Whelan. Whelan finding the fullback Wilkinson. Wilkinson as Stoke now settle into the game. On to Jones. Good play by Knight in the air. Whelan can't control it, and out comes Owen Coyle for the first time. So the two managers are both down there, Owen Coyle and Tony Pulis. The last time Stoke, of course, had a side which almost got them to the cup final. It was another Tony, Waddington in charge. Tony Pulis now doing a great job at Stoke. They don't travel too well. It'll be interesting to see them here on neutral territory. They rely so much on the Britannia Stadium and their atmosphere there. They've lost all of the games they've played in London so far this season in the Premier League. They're now going to have to defend a free kick over on the far side. But it's inside the Bolton half, and Steinson to take it. And Gary Cahill is making a move towards the penalty area. Cahill's there with Klasnic and obviously the captain Kevin Davis. Elmander lurks as well. In goes the free kick. Stoke defenders shield their eyes against the sun. Almost an opening here for Cahill. Couldn't get a shot in. Petrov's won a corner kick off Pennant.
Really clever play in the box there. He didn't lose his head at all. He brought it down there. I mean, you expect someone to have a lash at it, even though there's a bunch of players in the way, but Bolton didn't panic. They passed it around inside the Stoke penalty box. Eventually fell for Petrov, but he couldn't quite get in target. He's got a corner.
So Bolton have their first corner. Martin Petrov will take it. Knight almost got there. The ball ricochets around in the area off a Stoke defender. Another corner. Howard Webb points. 6 minutes gone in the first half at Wembley. Bolton 0, Stoke City 0. Another corner to Bolton Wanderers, and Petrov to take it. Knight trying to find some freedom over on the far side there. And that Howard Webb, and this was inevitable really, he's going to have to step in and just sort a few skirmishes out there. Kevin Davis and Knight and Cahill, Stoke defenders as well, pushing and shoving. Howard Webb's not happy, is he? Yes, the kick goes in and it's cleared at the near post by Stoke City. Bolton trying to belt it back in again. Shot driven in and just over in the end from Gary Cahill. So Gary Cahill already popping up twice to try and trouble Stoke City in the first 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, he's caught it on the half ball. He's about 20 yards out. He just couldn't quite keep it down. But very interesting in that box, Kevin Davis is causing all sorts of problems. He isn't as tall as Huth, he isn't as tall as Shawcross, but it's taken 2 and sometimes 3 to mark him. And when the balls are bouncing down, that means there's an extra player for Bolton on the edge of the box there.
Nobody's more motivated than Kevin Davis as Knight tangles with Jones once more. Little header from Lee onto Davis, who just gets away from Huth, but Shawcross tidies up, and it's a Bolton throw-in over on the far side. Interesting role that Elmander's got now in this midfield behind the front two. And Stoke City, for the most part, relying on width here with a couple of scufflers in the centre of midfield. Here come Bolton, though, going forward. Elmander, well spotted at the back by Stoke, but Elmander wins it back once more, and then he's been fouled by Robert Huth. Free kick to Bolton, 35 yards or so away from Sorensen's goal.
I think Robert Huth has to be a wee bit more careful. I mean, in the box there, he's been, you know, his arms have been all over players, I mean, particularly Kevin Davis, but that's a couple of challenges he's been a bit rash with. The referee, understandably, big game, giving a little bit of benefit, but that won't last too long. Pat
Nevin with us here today at Wembley, settled a semi-final for Everton, I remember in the 80s, and now we watch Martin Petrov, the Bulgarian, eyeing up this free kick, but he's only a couple of yards away from the ball. Again, a little bit of pushing and shoving in the penalty area. Kevin Davis being heavily marked. Cahill's gone forward as well. Howard Webb has to have eyes everywhere. In goes the kick, and Stoke City will clear it to the edge of the area. Bolton trying to knock it back in again, and good work from Moamba, getting the better of Walters. Moamba now to Elmander. Elmander shot all along the ground, and Sorensen's there.
He's a powerful player, Moamba, and you know, I thought he was going to have a hit a goal there. He's not really noted for scoring that many goals, so yeah, maybe a good idea to pass it off, and it was a strike-on goal. Very noticeable. Lee hasn't had a great impact in the game so far, but he's falling in very quickly in case anything's spilled.
Jones really struggling to get into the game at the moment. Not getting great service in the air though, and that travels through once more to Jääskeläinen. Difficult one to score this game so far in the first 9 minutes. Bolton perhaps just marginally have had a brighter start. Ball into the Stoke area. Davis tries to flick it on towards Klasnic. Still inside the Stoke half, and then Elmander this time is going to be penalised for the foul on Whelan. And it could be quite an interesting game for Howard Webb, Pat, couldn't it? There's a fair bit going on.
And there is, and particularly off the ball. It's very noticeable, Howard Webb, as soon as there's any set pieces, particularly from corner kicks, he's staring at the players, not at the ball, at the players who are in the box that are going to attack the ball. He's not given any free kicks in there yet, but I'll tell you what, I think he might do at some point in the game.
This time Knight doesn't get the ball in the air, and Jones drives it on the volley into the Bolton fans behind Jääskeläinen's goal. So that's the first sign from Kenwyne Jones. We will cross to the Emirates, Arsenal and Liverpool, and John Murray.
It's 0-0, quite a bright start to the game, 10 minutes played. Diaby went close for Arsenal with a glancing header from a free kick, and Suarez put a free kick round the wall for Liverpool, but it was comfortably saved. Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0.
Thank you, John. Here in this semi-final of the FA Cup, it's Bolton 0, Stoke City 0 here at Wembley, as Kevin Davis once more tries to get Bolton moving. Stoke tidying up with the right back Wilkinson near side the Stoke City right, looking for Walters. Wasn't particularly well delivered to him though, and it's an easy one for Knight once more to cut out. Knight, who's been missing for 6 or 7 weeks, he's reclaimed his place. Wheater on the bench today, and a Stoke City throw, and where's Delap? He's not going to take this one. It's going to be Wilkinson. Wilkinson's ball towards Walters. Robinson doesn't clear it. Now a chance for Pennant for Stoke on the edge of the Bolton area. Walters can't get the cross in. Moamba's there once more. Robinson, dangerous clearance. Shot from Etherington. Goal for Stoke City. Mistake at the back for Bolton. And Matty Etherington didn't need any invitation there. He just hit it firmly into the bottom corner. It was beautifully struck by the man who played in the cup final for West Ham, and Stoke City lead Bolton 1-0.
Well, classically it's overplaying out at the back. It's something that I think we want to see players trying to do, play out from the back, but you have to be good enough. You can't make mistakes. And just as you say, Mike, absolutely perfect into the corner, left foot. He didn't take any more than one touch to get it under control, turned. Nothing at all that Jääskeläinen can do is bending away from him.
Back come Bolton, and let's say right away that from a neutral point of view, really, all you need in an FA Cup semi-final, doesn't really matter who scores. You need an early goal, and we've got one, as Bolton now try to respond and Stoke clear. So Etherington's left footer Jääskeläinen, no chance. Mistakes at the back by Bolton Wanderers, and Stoke have made them pay for it, and they lead 1-0, and Jääskeläinen clears. So Bolton now look to Lee to get them moving down that right hand side, and he's played the ball off Huth, and Bolton have a throw-in. 1-0 to Stoke City. Etherington's goal, got a smashing goal last weekend here in London against Spurs. Ball travels a long way from the right hand side until Stoke clear. Jenny Pulis urging his team to come out of defence. Robinson near side the Bolton left, and I mean, who was most culpable there at the back for Bolton? Was it Robinson? I thought it, yeah.
I mean, in the end, if you play a ball and you play it behind your teammate and you lose possession, you know, you really should put it at Rose's head rather than anything else, or just lump it up to your centre forward, but that's easy after the event. I think certainly Owen Coyle wants his players to play the ball out from the back, but if you lose it in the wrong areas, particularly in the last quarter, in your own quarter, then you're in trouble.
Long way to go yet in the semi-final, but Stoke are in front. Ball played disappointingly by Bolton into the area, and Thomas Sorensen is there. Well, there are more Stoke City fans in the stadium, and they're really making themselves heard at the moment in the red and white, predominantly to the left of us here, as Knight now tries to get the ball from Walters inside Bolton's half, and Bolton give it away cheaply. Whelan now finding the fullback Wilson over on the far side. 1-0 to Stoke City. Kenwyne Jones, such a dangerous centre forward. Jones finds Delap inside the centre circle. Delap to Pennant, and Stoke visibly growing in confidence, having scored. Delap plays the ball back into his own half. Shawcross is there, and Stoke settling down now with that goal behind them.
Immediately they look more confident, don't they? And certainly their game plan's working better. Up until now, I mean, most of the good work that Bolton have had have been long balls. You know, they've been thumped up, and Kevin Davis obviously is going to get the odd flick on, but for me they've not got the wide men into the game. Petrov, one run in the first 30 seconds, nothing more than that. And Chung Young Lee, you know, he's working hard up and down the line there, but he hasn't got much good ball in any good areas. So that's the thing I think Owen Coyle will be trying to get, push his team up a bit and get his players that can play on the ball.
It was sweetly struck by Etherington. It was at the same end where Yaya Toure scored yesterday for Manchester City. So at the moment we're heading for an all-city final between Manchester and Stoke, but who knows? Bolton have different ideas, of course. The ball is in the Bolton half. Knight having problems against Jones once more, and it travels through to Jääskeläinen. Etherington, who played in that 3-3 FA Cup final in Cardiff between West Ham and Liverpool, has scored the goal here today. Now it's Lee down the right hand side, far side for Bolton. Steinson gives the ball back, makes Cahill shuffle a little bit. Cahill now hitting a long one towards Davis. Huth should head this away, he does for Stoke City, and the ball is out of play for a Bolton throw-in. And I don't think Tony Pulis is going to sit down. He's in the technical area all the time. A bit surprised that Owen Coyle hasn't come out to try and lift his Bolton team as they try and go forward through a combination of Elmander and Klasnic, but it breaks again for Sorensen. Bolton need picking up here.
Yeah, actually Bolton have got a big problem for me, because for me they play two different styles of football. They're actually a team that can go back to front. They're capable of doing that, although Stoke's not the best team to try that against, because they love that sort of stuff. They will lap that up. The two big centre-backs can cope with that. But they also like to play a little bit of football. But that means playing out from the back with good confidence. They have lost a goal early on trying to do that. So the temptation now is to take no chances and play it long. I'm not convinced they're good enough going long to beat Stoke.
16 minutes gone. So many dangers from Stoke City from the wide positions in particular. Their midfield players are grafters and workers, really. A lot of the creativity comes from the flanks, and Etherington, the left winger, has smashed one in here for Stoke, and here comes a long throw for them now over on the far side. Here's the big first long throw for Stoke City. Can they get into the penalty area with the throw? They can. Headed away by Elmander. Wilkinson can knock it back in again for Stoke City. Spends an awful long time in the air, then Cahill gets it, and then it's struck, and a goal from Huth. Robert Huth is there. Bolton don't deal with it. Following the long throw, the big German was there, specialises in cup goals this season, and that's his third, and Stoke lead 2-0. And have they done enough already?
Very, very similar. Both goals have went in right in the same corner. I think both have actually went into the side netting. You know, they've just clipped the post before going in. It was a power play once again into the middle. I think Kevin Davis was complaining there that it was some sort of free kick or offside. I'm not convinced about that. That's a robust style of play. That's a challenge that you're going to make. And 2-0 down, and what a huge question that's been asked now of Owen Coyle. I mean, he's done so well with Bolton, but is he going to stick with it now with what he's got? He's going to adapt it, because quite simply, as I mentioned just before that goal, it isn't working for Bolton because they're playing long, and that suits Stoke.
They've never been in the FA Cup finals, Stoke. They missed out in 3 semi-finals. They lead here by 2-0. And Robert Huth, who's been around, hasn't he, has scored cup goals this season against Wolves and against West Ham. And now he can add to the collection one today in the semi-final against Bolton. And this is going to take some turning around now by Owen Coyle's team. And still no sign of the manager down there at the moment in his technical area. Still Tony Pulis drinks the water, has the trademark baseball cap on down there. And what a dream start for his side here. Scoring twice already, Pat.
Yeah, the one thing I would say, and I know it's very early in the game to say it, but eventually if this goes the way it's looking like it's going to go and Bolton don't get back into the game before half time, the name Sturridge will slowly but surely be brought up, because they are missing someone that's willing to go beyond the defence. And that's another reason why Stoke's defence so far has looked really comfortable, really powerful, and so much so that the centre-back's going up and scoring goals. And by the way, don't want to damn him with faint praise. That's not bad for a centre-back, is it, for a finish?
No, I mean, and inevitably, somewhere along the line in the build-up to all of that was the long throw-in as well, which Bolton haven't dealt with either of the situations here. That's why they find themselves 2 goals down already. And Bolton just hanging in at the moment. The ball is inside their half. There's an overhead kick from the fullback, Wilkinson. And all the noise is from the Potteries. All the noise from the Stoke City end. Bolton just looking edgy as Klasnic takes possession and then gives it straight away to Huth at the back of the Stoke defence. And now here goes Etherington flying forward. Goes past the first challenge. Etherington for Stoke City just held up. Then he chips it in and Robinson off the chest. Back to Jääskeläinen before Pennant can threaten. And Bolton now bringing the ball out as we go back to Arsenal and John Murray.
Still Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0, 20 minutes played, but Arsenal going very close from a corner. Reina came for it, but Koscielny got there first, 6 yards out, and headed against the front of the crossbar. And as it came out, Walcott hit a shot straight into Kaut that deflected off his body onto his arm. I think the referee Andre Mariner got it right by waving away the claims for a penalty. So it's 0-0, and Sir Alex Ferguson has chosen our game rather than yours in North London today, Mike.
Thank you very much. Of course, he's got Arsenal coming up soon. And that game, of course, commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra. And, of course, it was Arsenal who stopped Stoke City twice in the early 70s in FA Cup semi-final replays. Denied them twice. And today, Stoke City made an absolutely magnificent start. 2-0 they lead against Bolton. And it's difficult at the moment, looking at the Bolton body language in particular, to see how they're going to get out of this one. Petrov, all bunched up down this near side, wrestling match with Shawcross. And in goes Wilkinson, onto Pennant, back again to Wilkinson. Could be a chance for Jones. Cahill will have to be quick. And he was at the back, mopping up for Bolton Wanderers. And they're just heading it back to Stoke again, and they're just not linking at the moment, the Bolton players, as the ball is driven back by Huth to Sorensen, who clears high towards the halfway line. Header on by Wilkinson. Pennant against Robinson. Tony Pulis appeals for the free kick against Robinson, not given by Howard Webb. Still up in the air. Stoke City at the moment first to the ball, as long one forward rather innocuously from Knight is cleared by Whelan at the back for Stoke City, and it's back at the Bolton defenders straight away. Walters tries to control it. Delap goes powerfully in now in midfield for Stoke. Stoke looking very strong with the 2-0 lead. 21.5 minutes gone in the first half. Wilkinson gave the ball away for Petrov, who slides it now for Klasnic. Klasnic, though, is denied by Delap. And look at Owen Coyle, Pat, just trying to whip his team up here down there.
Whip his team up, but also slightly calm them down to play a little bit of football. 3 times in that little piece of commentary you said they've lumped the ball up. They've kicked the ball up aimlessly. That is not what Owen Coyle wants, and he certainly doesn't want it against Stoke. I've been saying it since the first goal, but it's becoming very, very obvious now. If Bolton are going to get back in there, they need to put their game and impress their game on Stoke. They're not been able to do that so far.
Elmander rides a couple of challenges as we move towards the halfway point of the first half here. Bolton building and looking for Captain Davis. Huth is there to knock the ball out of play, and Davis is going to be penalised anyway for following through, I think. So Stoke City completely in command at the moment. The halfway point of the first half, they lead through goals from Etherington and Huth, and now through to half time with Pat Nevin and Alan Green.
Well, there were two very good finishes by the Stoke players, but I have to say that Paul Robinson was culpable directly for the first Stoke goal. Wretched pass, played a yard in front of his penalty area, just asking for trouble. That will not be easily forgiven. Throw into Bolton on the far side of the field. Apart from the first couple of minutes, just haven't got going. Bolton 0, Stoke 2, and Bolton progressed down that far flank as the ball was hit out of play again. Steinson with a throw into Elmander. Back to Steinson. Elmander once more, and then on now to Petrov. Looked like a foul on Petrov, but Hardwell decided there wasn't. Here's Petrov again, picking up the ball after good work by Mahamba. On to Lee, midway inside the Stoke half. Poor ball by Lee, short. Mahamba won it again. The foot was high by Huth, and he is flirting with a yellow card. He's given away a free kick.
Do you know, I don't want to sound Arsene Wenger-ish here, but there are a few challenges going in from the Stoke defenders that are, really borderline, and that
was a bad challenge by Huth.
That's being kind about it. To be fair, it's not about whether you hit the player, it's whether it's reckless. Well, he's diving full power, stud straight up, straight leg. He's very lucky not to get a yellow there.
That's why I think praise is due to Mike Dean yesterday for not, letting the occasion of the stage prevent him from sending off Paul Scholes for a horrible tackle. So it's a free kick to Bolton Wanderers, who badly need a goal. Petrov, left-footed, flicks it toward the far post, and it's headed behind by Kenwyne Jones for a corner to Bolton. At the left end of Wembley, as we look out from the commentary box, it's a sort of cliche, isn't it? In the commentary box today. This is actually the only commentary box we have. Corner's taken short. Back it goes to Lee. Lee crosses into the penalty area. Cahill tries to control it off his chest, but it's smacked clear over the halfway line by Stoke, and Robinson this time gets it right, heading it back to Jääskeläinen. That shot from Huth, by the way, went under Jääskeläinen's left hand. I think he got a faint touch on it, the goalkeeper. Here's Moamba now. Better period of play for Bolton. To Elmander. Elmander on to Klasnic. Looked like a foul on Elmander. Klasnic with the shot, it was deflected. Easy save for Sorensen.
That's one of the few moves that Bolton have had so far that's ended in a shot and goal, that hasn't come from a corner kick or a throw in or a long ball up. Really, Bolton, I like to see them when they play the ball through midfield and when they're confident, but I think they've been really spooked by losing that early goal, and because, as I said before, they've lost it trying to play football. They need everybody, and to play that style of football, everybody has to believe in it. Everyone in the team has to believe in it. And if somebody's looking a bit nervy, be it the left full-back, be it a centre midfield player, you end up going long. And as I say,
Bolton free kick, played long, looking for Kevin Davis, headed away by the Stoke captain Shawcross. Lee couldn't bring it under control. It's with Wilson on the far side of the field, the Stoke left back. Forward to Kenwyne Jones, and Kenwyne Jones, simple pass into Delap. Delap's pass forward didn't reach Etherington, and it's back to Jääskeläinen. And by the way, prior to kick-off, there was a flag being held up, which must be the vainest one I've ever seen in my life. It just read, Mrs. Delap is here, with an arrow pointing downwards. Held by Mrs. Delap.
Oh, surely not.
Just possible that that's picked up on television. Have you ever in your life? I'm sure she's a lovely lady, but honest to goodness, love. Here's that night.
I'm speechless. I'm bordering on speechless.
It's extraordinary when I saw it.
Wagism going wild, I think.
Anyway, Klasnic for Bolton. On now to the errant Robinson. Robinson attempts to get the cross in. Oh, that looked like a corner.
certainly did from here.
Seemed to take a deflection off Shawcross, but Hardware was close with play. We're just seeing a replay.
Well, it's actually very difficult. Even the replay, it's difficult to tell whether there was any touch from Shawcross or not.
He's given the benefit of the doubt to Stoke City, who lead Bolton Wanderers by 2-0, going in front in the 11th minute through Etherington, and then Huth adding a second 6 minutes later.
Alan, you mentioned earlier on how tight from goal kicks all the players are. There's 10 players from each side within a few yards of each other when the quick out happens.
Knight heads it forward. Davis chases after it. Huth hustled into a mistake, gets behind for a corner. Well done, Kevin Davis.
Yeah, you'll never lack effort from Kevin Davis. He put himself about. His timing and leaps is fantastic. I mean, he's not small, but he's certainly 3 or 4 inches smaller than the players he's playing against. But he always seems to get a little nod on.
Nearly 28 minutes played. Bolton corner from the right. Lee plays it in, and it's headed up and away by Delap. Hooked back, vaguely goalwards by Petrov, but in the end that effort was well wide, and it's behind for a goal kick to Stoke City. This is the FA Cup, sponsored by Eon. Manchester City already through to the final on May the 14th, and at the moment the Potters lead the Trotters 2-0. Stoke in command.
Yeah, and they've got just over 15, 16, 17 minutes to half time, and what a huge difference it would make for Bolton if they got one back right now. Tony Pulis, he would take the half time whistle right this second if he possibly could.
Oh, here's good header by Jones on to Pennant. Pennant now just to the right of the Bolton penalty. Chips it in towards the near post. That was well played by Pennant, but the goalkeeper got there before Walters.
By the way, how good was Walters' movement there?
Terrific.
His speed of getting in the front post there was astonishing.
Here's Davis down the far side of the field, getting away initially from Huth. Huth persistent, and Davis, I think, running the ball out of play before he gets the cross in. It's going to be a throw in to Stoke City. By the way, in the Barclays Premier League, the latest we hear from the Emirates, Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0. Arsenal need to win that game to move within 4 points of Manchester United with a game in hand. And remember, they're at Tottenham on Wednesday night, Arsenal, so it's a pivotal week for Arsene Wenger's team.
By the way, that throw in that the assistant referee's given, which he was 3 yards away from there, was completely wrong. The ball didn't go out.
Right, well done, assistant. Here's Petrov. Petrov beating Whelan, and then he's being tackled and beaten by Pennant. Pennant does really well. Pennant with Jones and Walters available. Pennant squeezes the ball through. Must be 3-0 surely. It is 3-0. Kenwyne Jones has perhaps already set the seal on Stoke City's triumph in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Bolton 0, Stoke 3, and we haven't played half an hour.
And it is a good finish, and it is into that precise same corner again. But once again, just like the first goal, absolutely suicidal from Bolton. In this case, it was Petrov. Gets the ball in the midfield area, gives the ball away. But the worst thing about that is he then didn't chase back. He just stood and watched. Owen Coyle would be furious. I'll make a little prediction now. Petrov does not come out for the second half. Very, very poor defending. I mean, that was dreadful, that. And there's just too many mistakes all over the Bolton pitch. But that's taken nothing away from Stoke. When they've got the chances, they've taken them. And that's a very good take there by Kenwyne Jones.
Let's get an update from the Emirates. John Murray.
Arsenal on top just now, Alan, but it is still Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0. Earlier, Koscielny hit the crossbar with a header, and a setback for Liverpool because Aurelio has had to go off injured, and 17-year-old Jack Robinson is on as a substitute. So Robinson at left back and 18-year-old Flanagan at right back. Test for those two young men. It's 0-0.
Thank you, John. I hate to have to refer to this, but they're actually Bolton fans leaving Wembley.
I hope they're not. I mean, they look awfully like they're leaving, to be honest. But they might be going for a pizza. You never know.
I don't think the pizza's that good.
A burger.
I mean, we've got 14 minutes to go to half time, and there's an exodus of Bolton fans from the end to our right. Stoke City are in dreamland, and Bolton require a comeback of the proportions that one great final had in 1953. I mean, that Blackpool managed against them. How can Bolton get back from 3-0 down?
For a kick-off, you have to stop inflicting wounds on yourself, which they've been doing all afternoon. I can't believe this is Owen Coyle's team.
Robinson crosses into the Stoke penalty area. Davis tried to head it down, headed away though by Whelan, or Wilson rather, and it's cleared to the halfway line, and Walters tackled by Cahill, and the ball must have come off the Stoke player because it's going to be a throw in to Bolton Wanderers.
I mean, it could have been another goal just before that as well. Walters had got into the near post, and it only needed the tiniest little touch from a great cross from Pennant. So the best chances are all being created by Stoke.
Too many passengers in the Bolton team at the moment. Klasnic is one, Petrov's another. Petrov can't bring the ball under control just outside the Stoke penalty area. Ball rebounds, Elmander with a shot from 35 yards, but it's all on the ground, easily saved by Sorensen.
Well, you know, Petrov can have days like this. I mean, even back to his time with City, there were times when you remember that, you know, he was fabulous on certain occasions, great vision, you know, can really strike a ball as well. But when he's having one of his quieter days, it's like having 10 men in the field.
Here's Walters for Stoke, piling on the agony here for Bolton. To Etherington. Etherington's cross into the penalty area, cleared by Zat Knight, headed back by Whelan. Here's Pennant near the edge of the D. Forward to Kenman Jones in the penalty area. Jones shoots across the face of goal and wide. Must have been a couple of yards wide at the end. But all the threat coming from Stoke City.
It's one of the few shots that Stoke have had towards Jääskeläinen so far that hasn't landed on target. Generally they've been putting absolutely everything on target. I've just seen the goal here with Kenman Jones there. Borderline offside, but I think you give him the benefit of the doubt in that. It was maybe his chest might have been just offside.
The exodus continues. It's a dribble rather than the flood at the moment, but there are enough people at the Bolton end leaving their seats.
Oh, you said a dribble
well
maybe
before
half time.
Whatever. Not looking good. Nothing's gone right. Robinson just clatters into Pennant there. It was a clear foul. Robinson bellows at Hardweb, feeling affronted, but he fouled Pennant. It's a free kick.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any complaint of that. And I have to say the spirit of the game's been fairly good as well. I mean, there's been a few challenges, and the players, if they're not hurt, have jumped up again, and well done Pennant there. I've seen other players who would roll about and try and get the opponent booked. Well done, Pennant.
11 minutes to half time. Owen Coyle must be tempted to put his head in his hands. His team 3-0 down. Goals from Etherington, Huth and Jones. Mwamba for Bolton in their white shirts. Played to Steinson on the far side of the field. They simply must score before half time, Bolton, to have any hope whatsoever. Now Cahill. Mind you, it's not that long ago that Mike and I were involved in a certain final in Istanbul where a team went 3-0 down and seemed definitely out of the Champions League final. Speaking of Liverpool, it's still Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0 at the Emirates. That also kicked off at 4 o'clock. Commentary on 5 Live Sports Extra. Robinson to Petrov. Petrov's lazy pass back towards Robinson, intercepted by Pennant. Pennant seemed to run that clearly out of play, but the referee's given the throw in to Stoke.
You know, there are some types of players, you know, you can actually watch them for the first 10 minutes of a game and you know whether you're going to get anything or not. Petrov is classically one of those. If he has a quiet 10 or 15 minutes, gets an early hit, and
he's got to get the hook.
Well, I would be shocked if he's still on the pitch. And not so much he's not had a good game, but the fact he didn't track back when he lost the ball, which led to the third goal, I know personally from Owen Cole's mind, that is completely unacceptable. Another player who's like that, if he doesn't have a good start, can sometimes have a poor game, is Kenman Jones, but he's had a good start.
I don't know where we get this information from, but I'm told that one Stoke fan has just turned up after running the marathon in 4 hours and 45 minutes.
How many
and
goals
he's missed 3 goals.
That's a shame.
Poor sod. Not that he'll care at all. Just don't get cramp. Here's Pennant. Pennant loses the ball though to Robinson. Robinson into Mwamba. On to Steinson on the far side of the field, midway inside the Bolton half though. Mwamba. They're just trying to get a toehold on the game, Bolton. Robinson forward to Kevin Davis, who gets the slightest of nudges from Shawcross and is ignored by Hardweb. No free kick. It's a throw into Stoke.
That was Owen Coyle just now, because it's all the questions have been asked of Owen Coyle right now, and you've got to adapt something, you've got to change something. My temptation, I know it seems odd being 3-0 down, we could drop Davis a little bit further towards the midfield, because nothing is coming from the central midfield area for Bolton just now. If you dropped them in there, you might get that foothold that you've just mentioned there. They might get that foothold in the game. And Davis is very good coming from deep as well, so something will have to change. It will be personnel, but it should possibly also be system in the second half as well for Bolton.
Here's Pennant down the right side. 2 Bolton players left him alone. Pennant chips the ball back and it's headed away by Cahill. And again, Robinson and Petrov both caught there.
Again, Bolton fans will be beyond belief how poorly they're defending here. And now they're tackling each other, which is not a good sign. Left Jermaine Pennant to get to the byline once again. It's no exaggeration, it could have been 5.
A Delap throw-in is imminent. He's positioned just 10 yards from the corner flag. There he goes, up to the touchline, launching it into the penalty area. Headed away, though, by Kevin Davis. Whelan met that headed clearance, and Whelan hits it back fully 60 yards to his goalkeeper, Sorensen, who has only had a couple of easy saves to make. Sorensen clatters it upfield, headed down by Knight. Running to Pennant. Robinson not close enough. Pennant up to the edge of the penalty area, into the penalty area, chips it towards Kenman Jones. Kenman Jones jumped too early. His header was weak, and it's cleared partially by Bolton. Etherington on the far side of the field. It might be 4-0 before half time here. Whelan to Etherington again. Bolton 0, Stoke City 3. We've still got 7 minutes of the first half left. Back to Hood, scorer of the second goal. And now the captain Shawcross. They must feel so confident here, Stoke City.
Well, I'll tell you what, they'll be confident if they play down Stoke's right hand side and Bolton's left hand side, as you've absolutely spotted from very early in the game. On the left hand side, Robinson, he looks shell shocked at the moment to me.
He knows what a bad error it was for the first goal.
Yeah, and it's affected the rest of the game. The rest of his game. I mean, every time we just seen him a moment ago there, where Jermaine Pennant get the ball and started running at the defender, started running at Robinson. Now, instead of Robinson getting close, getting tight, making sure the winger had a problem, he shouted for help. He wanted help. He said, "Petrov, come back, help me." Now, that immediately tells Jermaine Pennant, oh, by the way, I've got the beating of this boy.
Steinson's thrown into the Stoke penalty area, headed down by Davis, but cleared by Stoke. And here is Robinson, back to Zat Knight, just to the right of the centre circle, plays it high through the middle. Davis jumps but doesn't get any heady contact on the ball, and it's behind for a goal kick. And let's get an update from the Arsenal game. John Murray.
5 minutes to go to half time. Arsenal not able to turn their superiority into a goal yet. Liverpool just about hanging on in there. Jamie Carragher to the fore, but still Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0.
It's certainly not scoreless here, or without a goal here rather. Bolton 0, Stoke 3 in the FA Cup semi-final. Goal kick for Stoke. A hit towards Kenman Jones, but headed away by Cahill. Here's Mwamba, just about finding Almander, and back it goes to Knight, and Jaskalainen with the clearance. Far too route one. Bolton can play better than that, and they're actually just playing into Stoke's hands.
Exactly. I mean, from the first goal, and I do think it all comes from that first goal, because you get caught overplaying, you then go long. You can't go long against Stoke. Well, you can't go long against them today so far, and every time it's been locked up there, it's looked a nonsense from Bolton, an absolute nonsense, because they don't look as if they get anything out of it. Tell you what, Kevin Davis might win a flick on, but he's not flicking it on to anyone.
Klasnic has just fouled Whelan, and is it a final word of warning from Hard Webb? That's just frustration from Klasnic. He can't get into the game. Petrov doesn't want to know.
I'll tell you, and
carrying 2 passengers, Bolton.
Well, I know, and I have to say, I mean, you know, if I can speak for the Wingers Union just for a moment, if you're out wide, you're dependent on service, and Lee out on the right hand side, he's just got nothing so far.
Etherington with a free kick, played into the penalty area, headed across goal, and the header down by Cahill was slightly dodgy, but it's cleared by Steinson up to the halfway line. And then one in the air by Wilson, flicked forward by Stoke to Pennant. Pennant's importance in the game growing by the minute. Obviously Robinson's terrified of him. Now it's Etherington down the left side, slightly impeded by Steinson. Lee helps out. He's another one that can't get involved. He's playing wide too, no service, but he wins a throw.
It's because they're going long. It's simply because Bolton get the ball at the back. There is no confidence. They've only got two central midfielders. There's not enough bodies in there that are comfortable in the ball. They hit it long. The wingers are missed out, and you kind of complain. Maybe a lot of people say Lee's done nothing. I wouldn't complain about him because the ball hasn't come to him. He's went and tried to look for it. The ball's not been played out there. I don't think you can say the same for Petrov.
No.
The ball's came to him a few times. He's just made a mess of it.
3 minutes to go in the first half. 3-0 to Stoke City, who've got a free kick now. But 5 yards in from the far touchline, their left. And it's going to be hit forward by Wilson. Driven in the direction of Kenwyne Jones, who initially was backing into Zat Knight. Then a neat layoff by Jones. The Whelan loses the ball to Mwamba. Mwamba now to Petrov. Petrov over the halfway line. 15 yards, 20 yards now. Inside the Stoke half. And then he ran straight into Wilkinson. And Pennant picks up the loose ball.
Three options there. 3 options. And one, a fourth which wasn't an option. He took the non-option. That was really poor. His head's in a bad place just now.
Mwamba to Elmander. Moving over the halfway line now through the centre circle. Steinson's running down the right side. The pass is shorter though to Davis. Davis on to Steinson, the right fullback. Into Kevin Davis again. A couple of yards outside the penalty area. Low cross. Simple header clear by Shawcross. And it runs to Cahill over the halfway line. 2 minutes left to half time here on 5 Live. Bolton 0, Stoke 3. Don't forget you can hear Arsenal Liverpool on 5 Live Sports Extra. And I don't think the way things are running, my 6:06 is going to be delayed tonight by any extra time.
Just a question what Bolton do now at half time.
Well,
I suspect you'll see Matty Taylor.
One player, Matty Taylor's got to come on.
Stick on.
Got to come on.
Unlucky not to be starting.
Yes.
But he's an absolute stick on. But you know, but if you're the manager, do you make? You possibly, a push. You could make 2 changes, but you don't want to make 3 that early because obviously getting injuries, you're stuffed.
Jones back to Etherington. Both the wide players for Stoke are playing well today. Etherington hits it crossfield from left to right, finds the right fullback Wilkinson on to Pennant. Pennant has got the beating of Robinson every time, and he chips the ball towards Wilkinson. And guess what? Petrov is tracking back and is fouled by Wilkinson. It's a free kick to Bolton.
I think he got lucky though. I think he was maybe losing it there, but the assistant got that one right. Petrov had to go this time. I think the flea in his ear that he got from his manager after his last episode when he didn't track back made sure that he did it this time. If he hadn't tracked back this time, I tell you what, it's 44 minutes and 23 seconds. He still wouldn't have reached half time. The manager would have hooked him.
The free kick taken by Bolton, head up field, and then immediately Wilson snaps the clearance over the halfway line. Stoke are quite happy to play it long.
Oh, they've got Kenwyne Jones up there, and he's quite capable of winning headers against absolutely anyone. I'll tell you what though, is Walters, his movement, his power, pace, he's very special. I'll tell you what, I'm not a bookie and I'm not a betting man, but I wouldn't put it against him scoring a goal at some point this afternoon.
Elmander hits it in the direction of Steinson. It's a very good header back by Etherington to goalkeeper Sorensen, who applauds the left midfield player. A minute of added time at the end of the first half. A tragic first half for the hopes of Bolton Wanderers. Trailing by 3-0, and that was the scoreline after half an hour.
Would you agree with me, Alan, that Tony Pulis will be slightly disappointed it's only 3?
Yeah. The way they've dominated the game. But at the moment I don't see anything from Bolton that will suggest they can get back into it. Another hopeless long ball played forward by Bolton Wanderers. That's the sort of Bolton of the Sam Allardyce days. And they're so much better than that
The
now.
confidence is gone. The confidence is completely and utterly shot. This enthusiasm we talk about from Owen Codd that we hear about all the time, now's the time to make it work. At half time here, get those players believing in themselves and make wholesale changes if you possibly can, and make sure they believe in the system you change to. I tell you what, right now, that team out there do not believe in the system they're playing just now and the way that they're playing with each other just now.
Here's Jääskeläinen. Jääskeläinen hits it upfield. A foul by Shawcross on Davis. Play continues. Referee saw nothing wrong. And we've had our minute of added time. Robinson back to Petrov. Petrov's cross into the penalty area, but Davis couldn't shrug off the attention of Shawcross, and it's eventually caught by Sorensen. And there is the half-time whistle, is it, presumably? It is, yes. What a great 45 minutes for Stoke City.
Fantastic 45 minutes for Stoke City. I think they played exactly their game plan to the letter. I think a lot of players played very well, and particularly, as you said, the two wide men. But all the way through their team, the game plan has worked absolutely perfect. Bolton, I think without any argument I can say, that is the worst 45 minutes that they have played this season.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind putting a substantial wager on Matty Taylor and Moreno coming on very early on in the second half, if not during the half-time interval. Half-time here at Wembley in the FA Cup semi-final. Bolton 0, Stoke 3.
And let's head from the commentary box down to Mike Sewell, who will watch two very different teams come off that pitch.
Indeed, Owen Coyle, the Bolton manager, was the first player or manager from either side to get down the tunnel. Obviously, considering what he might say to his players, Gary Cahill's just passed me, shaking his head, and Jussi Jääskeläinen looking to the skies in disbelief as to what's happened in the first half. Tony Pulis, actually, Colin, for much of that half was his usual jack in the box, and at times you'd have thought that his team were trailing by 3-0 rather than leading by 3-0.
Thank you very much, Mike Sewell, down in the touchline at the Wembley tunnel as the players trudge off in their two very different team talks. But the next goal, so important in that game, just looking from an optimist point of view, the problem is to my left is one of two Bolton fans on 5 Live Sport, and he's got to read the news, so he's hopefully will have wiped away the tears in a couple of minutes from now, and Richard will indeed get through that. I'll give you time. I'll go to the Emirates and we'll talk to John Murray a little bit. It's Arsenal against Liverpool. You've got half time now, haven't you?
Yes, half time. The players have disappeared, Colin. Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0.
Hi.
Well, good question. It was a half that by the end of it, I think it's fair to say, was being dominated by Arsenal, but no goal yet. And they've been here before. Remember, their last 2 home league games ended goalless against Sunderland and Blackburn. The closest they've come was when Koscielny's header from a corner hit the crossbar. Reina came for it, got nowhere near it, and from the rebound, Walcott thought he should have had a penalty when his shot at very close quarters deflected off Dirk Kuyt's body onto the Liverpool player's arm. But I think the referee, Andre Mariner, got it right by saying no, it was at very close quarters to Dirk Kuyt. Liverpool, should say again, have also had to cope with the loss of their left back, Aurelio, who had to go off midway through the half with an injury, and he's been replaced by 17-year-old Jack Robinson, who is making only his second appearance for the Liverpool first team. And that is also the case with the right back, John Flanagan, who's 18 years old. But I would say even with those two in there, Liverpool have actually defended well against the Arsenal pressure, but it is 0-0 at half time.
It's one of those games so far when you get it, especially an Arsenal-Liverpool game, the longer Arsenal go without converting one of those chances, the more you're going to fancy Liverpool to get that one chance, John.
Yes, but on the rare occasions they've had the ball inside the Arsenal half, Suarez, for example, has repeatedly given the ball away, so we've seen little or nothing of Morelos, Kuyt in a forward sense, Carroll and Suarez.
Okay, lovely stuff. Thank you very much, John Murray there. Arsenal against Liverpool, which you can hear in 5 Live Sports Extra. We'll stay, of course, with Stoke Bolton, your second FA Cup semi-final. If you have just tuned in at half-time, it's Stoke 3, Bolton Wanderers 0. Unbelievable half of football. They were 3-0 up after half an hour. We're going to head over in the Rugby Union now and get what should be a final score from James. Wasps against Leeds.
51 points to 18 to Wasps, Colin, and Leeds' hopes of crawling off the bottom of the Premiership have been dealt a massive blow here. Rarely did they worry Wasps. Instead, the hosts ran amok, scoring 7 tries, 5 of which came in the second half. Joe Simpson scored the pick of the bunch as his blistering turn of pace tore the Leeds defence in two. It was Wasps' most emphatic performance this season and keeps them in contention for a Heineken Cup place next year. Leeds have just got 2 games left to save their Premiership status. Coach Neil Back called his side in for a huddle at full time to assess the damage. He'll need more than just words if they're to stage another great escape.
Thank you very much. Welcome to 5 Live Sport. If you're just tuning in now, massive day of sport going on. I'll update you with as much as I can at half time of our second FA Cup semi-final. Still 45 minutes to go. That's the good news for any Bolton fans. On that note, let's get your news headlines with Richard Foster.
Online at bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Drivers are being warned the M1 may not fully reopen between junctions 1 and 4 in North London until later next week after a fire broke out in a scrapyard underneath the road. The Transport Secretary Philip Hammond says a review will now be carried out into what can be located beneath Britain's motorways. Opposition forces in Libya say at least 6 people have been killed and dozens wounded in shelling in the western city of Misrata. There have also been reports of shelling in the eastern city of Ajdabia. Officials at Japan's damaged Fukushima nuclear plant say they hope it will finally be brought under control by the end of the year. The firm in charge expects it to take that long to stop radiation leaks and for it to cool the reactors. The Conservatives say that they're sticking to the facts as they try to persuade people to keep the existing voting system for general elections. A referendum's being held next month. The Liberal Democrats, who are in favour of the alternative vote, have accused the Tories of scaremongering. And a team of wounded soldiers is celebrating reaching the North Pole. Prince Harry, who joined them for the first 4 days of their 170-mile trek, was the first to congratulate them via satellite phone. And on to the travel. Still got the problems on the M8 eastbound in Renfrewshire. It's closed due to a serious accident. A motorbike's involved in that. It's all between junctions 30, the turning for the Erskine Bridge, and junction 29. In Elvedon in Suffolk, the southbound A11 has an accident there. A lorry and several cars involved, and it's near the Elvedon crossroads. And on the trains, problems at the moment on Arriva Trains Wales. Disruption there between Cardiff Central and Gloucester due to signalling problem. It's between Cardiff Central and Newport. It's also causing problems on First Great Western between Cardiff and Bristol Temple Meads. Richard Foster, 5 Live Travel.
And Richard, as you were saying to me, you came from 3 behind before, so a word of comfort for those fellow Bolton fans tuned in.
It's hope. It's blind hope. There's still 45 minutes to go. We can still do it.
And you're not going to play that badly for another 45 minutes. That's
definitely hope
guarantee.
not. It's going to have to be the half-time team talk to end them all. I really hope he can do it.
Keep believing. Don't stop believing. Right, it's 3-0 to Stoke at half-time. Of course, if you're a Stoke fan listening, you hope the next goal goes to your team. We'll be back for the second half of that, but we'll get you all your sports news in a second.
There's gonna be a big knees up, big sing-song.
Walking down the aisle, I think that is wonderful.
Just the whole atmosphere, I'm hoping, will be a really exciting thing to be part of.
Be part of the big day on the BBC.
I'd like to see sort of Kate's wedding dress.
I'm going to be watching for any tips for my own wedding next year.
The Royal Wedding on 5 Live.
So Celtic will face Motherwell in the Scottish Cup final. That's after Aberdeen were beaten 4-0 at Hampden Park earlier. Andrew Considine was sent off when the score was still 0-0. He even had some sympathy off Celtic boss Neil Lennon.
You have to look at the rules, and I think if a player makes a genuine attempt to get the ball and he misses it, then probably a penalty is suffice. But you've seen cases where a guy deliberately brings a guy down, he's 1v1-on-1, and I think that's a red card when he does it deliberately. I think in Andrew's case today, I think he has made a genuine attempt to get the ball, and Gary's just beating him to it. And unfortunately, within the laws of the game, it's a red card and a penalty.
All right, let's hear from the Aberdeen manager, Craig Brown. He was speaking with Andy Gillies.
Craig, commiserations. I presume the game turned entirely on what happened with the sending off and the penalty.
Well, I would like to think so. I would like to think that had it been 11 against 11 throughout the match, we would have been as much in contention as we were in the first half with only 10 players. But the better team won the game. They had the extra man and they made very good use of it because their possession of the ball is excellent. And it's very hard to compete against the best passing team in Scotland when you're a man short.
Neil Lennon made an interesting point afterwards, which was that he thought it was a foul, but he also thought that the red card was harsh. He felt that a penalty would have been punishment enough in that sort of situation. Maybe that's something that needs to be looked at.
Well, I've always said that. In fact, I've always had a theory that when a man is ordered off, a penalty should be given for whatever the offence, whatever it is in the pitch. This is just a theory I have, and you may say it's a crazy one, and then you bring on a substitute. He's ordered off, you bring on a substitute, so the punishment is a penalty kick against you. But the spectators pay to see 11 against 11. The sponsors come and pay for 11 against 11. It spoils the game when it's 10 against 11, I think. So any rule change that would help it to stay 11 against 11, but penalise the offending player, is a good one, and I think a good one would be give a penalty kick, even if it's in the halfway line, the ordering off infringement, but bring on a substitute player. I mean, you think I'm crazy, but having thought about it, and one or two other managers agree with that, this game was spoiled. You could argue it was our fault it was spoiled because our player was foolish enough to be ordered off, but the game certainly changed at that point.
Some thinking outside the box from Craig Brown about inside the box, if you get what I mean. People poo-pooed yellow cards and red cards when introduced. They said it was a silly idea. Maybe it was. Craig Brown
with a new theory on how we should handle those situations. I must tell you, the other SPL score today, it was Hibs 1, Hamilton 2, so a big win for Hamilton. They stay bottom though of the SPL. Lewis Hamilton won his first Grand Prix of the 2011 season in China this morning. A fuel leak meant that the McLaren team were still working on his car right up until the start. Hamilton says quite simply it was one of the best races of his career.
You know, I've done many races where you've started at the front, or you've not had really the chance to have a real battle with people, because for one or another reason, sometimes the strategy doesn't pull off, or your tyres just go off a bit too early. Or today, got a great start. I was so happy with the start, and obviously was just trying to hold on to Jensen. Couldn't really get close enough to him, but Sebastian gave me some troubles. To be able to do some real overtaking manoeuvres and have real battles with people was fantastic, and I don't know how many times I had to overtake, but I was just absolutely overwhelmed at the end. I think the guys did an amazing job, and it's been a long time since we've been here, so I feel incredibly blessed.
Is it an emotional day for you?
Very much so, yeah. I think as I said, I haven't won for a long time, so I think the desire to win just builds and grows and grows and grows. It doesn't matter who you beat. I think for me, just to tick off a win again. I mean, I exist and I live and I breathe to win. I love winning. I can't even explain how happy and how passionate I am about competing and beating people. So, I mean, I feel absolutely incredible. I'm going to go and have a nice evening, get back home, train, and prepare for the next race.
Sebastian Vettel started on pole but finished second, so that's 2 firsts and a second for him, and he was ahead of his Red Bull teammate Mark Webber, who came from 18th on the grid to make the podium. Jenson Button finished 4th. He was actually passed by Webber in the last lap. Vettel still leads the Drivers' Championship, obviously, at 21 points only now, ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Let's head back down to the tunnel in Wembley. Mike Sewell, any obvious substitutions?
Yep, no hesitation by Owen Coyle. Double substitution for Bolton Wanderers. The players coming on are going to be Mark Davis and Matthew Taylor, and the two coming off, and they won't be much of a surprise to many people, Martin Petrov and Ivan Klasnic. So Davis and Taylor on, Klasnic and Petrov off. As yet, we're not told if there's going to be any changes to Stoke. I doubt whether there would be after that first half.
OK, we'll hopefully make a change from a Bolton perspective. Let's get the latest from the Snooker World Championships before we head back for the second half. Philip Studd is watching the 7-time world champion, Stephen Hendry.
Yes, it's been a mixed bag so far from Hendry, Colin, which is no great surprise really, kind of typical of the sort of form he's shown in the past few years. One vintage clearance of 133, very much reminiscent of the days when he ruled this game, but he's missed a few as well. Joe Perry, his opponent today, a former Crucible semi-finalist. He's had a poor couple of seasons himself. He had to qualify this year, and he's been hit and miss too, so the scoreline at the moment of 3 frames all is just about right.
And more one-sided affair earlier?
Indeed, yes. Sean Murphy, the 2005 world champion, narrowly missed out on becoming only the second player after John Parrott ever to inflict a world championship whitewash here. He was mightily impressive nonetheless in dispatching Marcus Campbell 10-1 to set up the possibility of what would be a mouth-watering matchup with a certain Ronnie O'Sullivan. And I asked Mr. Murphy afterwards what he made of O'Sullivan's initial withdrawal from this year's tournament, only to change his mind 24 hours later.
It's very clever, isn't it? He's very clever. As I say, I'm not sure it's a guarantee that he's going to win. It's a long time since he won.
But if you did play him, a fantastic match.
Potentially a great match. But, you know, everyone talks about O'Sullivan, how dangerous he is. You know, he's a 3-time champion. He's won everything. He couldn't be any more dangerous. You know, he's one of the best players we've ever had. So, you know, if it's going to be O'Sullivan, I'll have to play well. But I am playing well.
Well, for that to happen, O'Sullivan's got to get past Dominic Dale, and as we know, O'Sullivan's had a very poor season, so that's no certainty. They start out, by the way, tomorrow afternoon and play to a finish on Tuesday afternoon. To continue the good Stoke news for Stoke this afternoon, by the way, Jamie Cope has made the last 16. The shotgun, as he's known, 10-7 winner over Andrew Padgett today. He'll now face either the 2-time champion, the resurgent Mark Williams, or Ryan Day, and they resume tonight with Williams 6-3 ahead.
Loving Murphy's game face. That's just what we need at this stage of the tournament. Thank you very much, Philip Studd. I've got to tell you a bit of cricket quickly. Yorkshire against Durham. Kevin Hiles.
Durham still need one more wicket for victory here. Minimum of 16 overs remain. Yorkshire have left it far too late to be the best team in this match. Their first session win, the one just after lunch on this final day, losing just the 1 wicket out of bare
Bairstow out for 81. The pitch has flattened out. Power and Sidebottom put on 98, but Sidebottom is now gone, followed immediately by Patterson. Liam Plunkett, who's not had a great game, was on a hat-trick at that point, but now it's down to Pyra and Ashraf to try and see it through for the final hour. 339 for the loss of 9 wickets. One result from Cardiff Division 2. Glamorgan have beaten Gloucestershire by 189 runs.
Thank you, sir. Rafa Nadal has won his 7th consecutive Monte Carlo title. He beat David Ferrer in straight sets, 6-4, 7-5. John Murray, 5 Live Sports Extra for the second half of Arsenal-Liverpool. It's 0-0. Arsenal have done everything but score. Any changes going into the second half?
Players are out, second half just about to begin. No substitutions at half-time. And as I say, there is just that little feeling of frustration among the home supporters after the 2 0-0s in the last 2 home games here. So still goalless. Second half begins now.
Thank you very much. We had a look at Stoke Bolton, didn't we? The whole build up to the second FA Cup semi-final, and just about everybody we talked to said too close to call. We go into the second half with a phenomenal scoreline. Etherington, Huth and Kenwyn Jones for Stoke. They're 3-0 to the good as we head back to Alan Green, Pat Nevin and Mike Ingham.
Thank you very much. Welcome back. Well, all of the goals so far this weekend at Wembley in the FA Cup semi-finals have been scored at the end now, where Bolton are attacking in the second half. Those changes then, inevitably, Petrov and Klasnic, the Bulgarian and the Croatian, replaced by 2 Englishmen coming on, Mark Davis and Taylor. Howard Webb sends us underway. So we've got 7 Englishmen now in the Bolton team for the second half. I'll give you their revised lineup in just a moment. Stoke City are unchanged. Bolton then playing from left to right towards their fans, shell-shocked fans, behind Sorensen's goal. Bolton, Jääskeläinen, Steinson, Cahill, Knight and Robinson, Lee, Mark Davis, Moamba, Taylor, Elmander and Kevin Davis. Elmander really, Pat, I mean, he was being accommodated really in midfield, wasn't he? But maybe now in his right position with Kevin Davis. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it makes absolute perfect sense. I think they'd lost the midfield, as simple as that, because he's not a natural out-and-out central midfield player, and if there's only playing 2 in that area, then it's a big job to ask anybody who's not specialised in that position. He'll be more comfortable up there. I think it looks a better shape for Bolton already, and but they'll still have 2 up front. That's the thing, they will still have 2 up front. Davis will stay up there and Elmander alongside him, and I think those 2 will like to work together.
Stoke City, Sorensen, Wilkinson, Shawcross, Huth, who scored the second goal, and Wilson, Pennant, who caused Robinson all sorts of problems on the right hand side, Delap, Whelan, Etherington, Walters, who was very clever, and Jones. So they took the lead through Etherington after a horror show by Robinson after 11 minutes. Then at the end of a long throw, it wasn't directly from the long throw from Delap, they got the second from Robert Huth, and then on the half hour, Pennant played Jones through to make it 3-0. Stoke City then have a throw in down this near side. And by the way, on May the 14th in the Premier League, Manchester City are scheduled to play Stoke City. That, of course, is Cup final day. Well, obviously Manchester City aren't playing in that game anyway now, but that Manchester City-Stoke game, which should be in the Premier League that day, could well turn out to be the 2011 FA Cup final. Here comes Rory Delap now with his first long throw for Stoke City. It's near side the left, and they've sent Huth forward into the area, and Knight challenges, but in the end it's gone off someone else, another Bolton player, and it's going to be another throw to Stoke City. Rory Delap to take it. Usual scene here at the start of the second half, people coming in late, settling down in the corporate seats in front of us. Rory Delap once more with a Stoke City throw. All the Stoke fans behind the goal that they are currently attacking. Jääskeläinen looking for some good vision. The ball is hurled in, and Walters almost claimed that for Stoke City in the penalty area. Bolton not really convincing, and now Kevin Davis lays it forward, looking for Taylor for the first time, but it's well intercepted by Whelan, and it's going to be a Bolton throw far side.
It's funny because Stoke so often play that ball, you know, that thrown-in ball. People go and attack and push in towards the goalkeeper. 99 times out of 100 with other teams, the goalkeeper gets a free kick there, but because it's Stoke's game plan, referees seem to say, oh, well, it's a bit fair, you know. Most of the time, I think Jääskeläinen gets a free kick there. He didn't that time, nearly led to a 4th goal.
Don't forget, Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0 in the Premier League. Commentary on 5 Live Sports Extra after the semi-final here. Alan Green 606. Give you the phone number in a moment, but now Etherington's raiding forward for Stoke City, but it's tidied up by Cahill. 0500 909 693 for 606 tonight with Alan Green live from Wembley. Cahill's ball into Kevin Davis, but away once more by Robert Huth, and it's a throw in to Bolton down this near side. We'll go to Arsenal in a moment. First of all, it's a throw to Bolton deep inside the Stoke half down this near side. They must do something quickly if they're going to get back into this game. Steinson, who can take a long throw. Cahill hasn't gone into the penalty area. It's a short throw to Lee, back again to Steinson, and now Lee once more down the Bolton right, and Steinson. Stoke have got a lot of players back. In it goes, it glances off Shawcross, and then Wilkinson's clearance at a handball, looked like by Mwamba. Howard Webb's given it. So here's John Murray again at Arsenal.
Still goalless, but it's Liverpool who created the first chance of the second half. Suarez allowed to run at the Arsenal defence, created the opportunity for himself, but shot left-footed, narrowly wide of the post. Still Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0.
Thank you very much, John. Just in case you weren't with us earlier, Sir Alex Ferguson staying in London overnight, watching that game between Arsenal and Liverpool. He's got a game at Arsenal in a couple of weeks. Free kick for Stoke City. Sorensen with it, and it glances off Steinson, the fullback, and it's a throw into Stoke down this near side. Bolton really do need to do something very, very quickly if they're going to have any kind of platform here to launch themselves. But launching the ball again now will be Delap with Walters and Jones in the penalty area. Howard Webb says, come on, take it. It's aimed towards Walters. Walters controls it, appeal for handball not given. Bolton now looking to Mark Davis to clear. Davis bringing the ball out for Bolton. On to Kevin Davis. And now Steinson, but that's a hopeful ball forward from Steinson, which isn't going to find anyone in white. And Wilson, the fullback, concedes a throw-in.
Well, that's the Bolton fans trying to get behind their team, or should I say what's left of the Bolton fans, because if you look up at the top there, you know, a lot of people certainly have left already, not expecting great things from Bolton this second half. But, you know, one goal, an early goal in this second half, you just never know.
Elmander now chips the ball forward straight into Sorensen's arms. So at the moment we're heading for a tale of two cities in the Cup final. And Stoke, by the way, the last team to beat Manchester City in the FA Cup. That was last season in the 5th round. Bolton desperate to try and change that fixture at the moment, but 3-0 down here. They are, just in case you can't believe it, joining us here, it's 3-0 to Stoke. They were 3-0 up after half an hour, and the goals came in from Etherington, Huth, and finally Kenwyn Jones to completely stun Owen Coyle. He's made 2 changes. Petrov's off and Klasnic is off. Taylor's now playing over on the left-hand side. Mark Davis has gone into midfield, and Elmander is partnering Kevin Davis. On this sunny afternoon in London, it's 3-0 to Stoke City.
Do you know what, Mike? Lots of things that Owen Coyle try and get his team. He's adapted the personnel. He's not really fiddled too much with his shape. But forget about all that. They have to get by that Stoke defence. They've been wonderful today. The 2 centre-backs have been absolutely superb.
They have.
They can be a bit rough, but I'll tell you what, they've been superb, and they've covered each other incredibly well all the way throughout the game so far. And I'll tell you what, as the game goes on, against decent players, they look totally in control.
Howard Webb has just penalised Lee for a foul on Delap. And again, I think he's getting a bit hot on this now, Howard Webb. He's making sure Stoke get on with it here. But they have such a margin here, they really don't need to be even thinking about wasting time or anything. Stoke 3, Bolton 0. Great noise from the Stoke fans. We had their anthem, Tom Jones' Delilah, before the game started, and that's the anthem we could be hearing again at this year's FA Cup final. Delilah, and I'm sure we'll get from the city at the end of the game last night, by the way, the noisy neighbours were singing "Come On Feel the Noise," resounding around the stadium here. The Oasis version, I think it was, well, it would be, wouldn't it, not the Slade version coming from that part of the world. And now it's Davis. Another free kick given by Howard Webb, and Bolton just can't get going again, Pat, can they really?
No, and you mentioned the fact that Howard Webb's trying to move Stoke on a bit. It's not so much they're trying to waste time, it's they're just trying to disrupt any sort of momentum that Bolton want to get going, and they really haven't, have they? Start of the second half has been really quite disjointed. Everything's a bit slow and pedestrian from Stoke, playing the long balls up, doing it very, very simple, just not leaving any gaps, not leaving any options.
Last weekend, as out comes Jääskeläinen, Bolton tore West Ham apart at the Reebok Stadium in the Premier League. They looked in really good shape coming into this semi-final, which we were saying before the game was very close to call, but it's very one-sided now as Kevin Davies heads the ball down the right-hand side. Elmander gets there first, steps over the ball to Lee. Lee just dilly-dallies a little bit and doesn't get the ball in. Should have really been more decisive. Stoke clear downfield, and it's the excellent Walters picking out Jones. Jones has got a long way to travel. Cahill comes across. Jones is now in the penalty area. Still Kenwyne Jones, and doesn't get it to anybody. And Bolton don't really deal with it either. Whelan, doesn't find Etherington near side. And that little bit of play there from Chung Young Lee sort of summed up indecision from Bolton all around.
And it summed up him a little bit. Before the game we were talking about, what players would be nervous, what ones would or wouldn't perform because of those nerves of Wembley. I think Lee's been affected quite badly. He seems to have shrivelled as a player, real no confidence running with the ball.
On the other hand, Pennant's had some really bright moments, but now it's Mark Davis of Bolton, 3-0 down, runs a long way with the ball, then doesn't deliver at the end. There was too much pressure from the Stoke defenders. Davis is looking for a deflection there, but it's not on for him. It's no corner kick, it's a goal kick for Stoke City, who lead here 3-0. Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0 in the Premier League.
I think a little bit of a lift there from Bolton. It was much more positive. It was direct into the heart of the Stoke defence. And interesting, that's the most likely that Bolton have looked. And it didn't involve lumping a ball from long. And Mr. Petrov sitting suited and booted, looking as grumpy as anybody else here downstairs.
Well, Pat Nevin called that in the first half, that he wouldn't appear for the second. By the way, in Scotland,
he did appear with a suit on.
Celtic, by the way, beat Aberdeen 4-0. That was just as one-sided, it sounds like, as this one. So it's going to be Motherwell Celtic in the Scottish Cup final. Here it's going to be Manchester City against Stoke City, unless Bolton can do something absolutely miraculous. Robinson over on the left-hand side. Bolton playing from left to right here. It's Knight just driving the ball aimlessly, really, back to the Stoke defence. Etherington with a back pass, and Sorensen to clear now for Stoke City. And already we've played 10 minutes of the second half. By the way, there hasn't been an FA Cup final between two city sides. I mean clubs called City, since Manchester City last won the FA Cup against Leicester City in 1969, all those years ago. But that's what we're heading for here. We're heading for Manchester City against Stoke City. First, though, we head to Arsenal again, and John Murray.
Still Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0, Mike, but I've got a really nasty looking injury to Jamie Carragher to report here. He actually clashed heads with his own defender, John Flanagan, the young right back, and Carragher immediately crashed down to the ground. And you could tell it was serious because his teammates immediately motioned to the sidelines. A stretcher was brought on very quickly. The medical people are there as well. They're all gathered around Jamie Carragher, who's lying on the ground. He'll clearly have to leave the field here, and I'll tell you what I can as soon as I can, but it's still 0-0.
Thank you, John. Let's hope that that isn't serious. Such a popular man, of course, Jamie Carragher. Liverpool without Gerrard, of course, for the rest of the season. Here comes Stoke City now, building down the right-hand side. And it's Pennant who gets away from Robinson very easily. Slides the ball in. Jones throws himself down in the penalty area. And Lee now tries to tidy up, but in the end, he's fouled by Etherington. So the first extended look I've had, really, Pat, of Walters, the former Ipswich player. He's a tidy player, isn't he?
Yeah, I like him a great deal. He has stepped up to this level. He's not looked worried about it at all. I mean, I know he did say he was nervous. He wasn't sure if he was capable of this step up. To be honest, his play has not shown that at all. He's fast. He's intelligent the way he runs and he moves. He hasn't always been found by the players in the midfield at Stoke, but he adds so much to that team. I think Tony Pulis will be delighted what he's got from that player this season.
He's got a really good combination there, Jones and Walters. He's also got John Carew on the bench if necessary, but he just may get a few minutes perhaps towards the end of the game. But Stoke City lead here by 3-0. 3 goals in the first half an hour. 0-0 between Arsenal and Liverpool in the Premier League. And Stoke City scoring goals here through Etherington, Huth, and then finally Jones. And that Jones goal, really the goal, I think, to put this game beyond Bolton Wanderers. Stoke still getting most of the possession. Etherington infield to Walters. Lovely return to Etherington. Lee struggling here. Etherington wins the corner kick off the South Korean. And Stoke are threatening to score a fourth here. Corner kick near side.
Interesting to see it's Etherington there against Lee. And the fact that Etherington getting on the ball all the time. He's pushing Lee back. He's dragging him back. and Lee spending all his time defending, and that's exactly what Owen Coyle and Bolton do not want. Lee need the creative players up the other side of the field. Everything tactically going in Stoke's favour.
They're sending everybody forward as well, Stoke City, to try and get on the end of this corner. Bolton do deal with it. Comes out to Wilkinson. He was the furthest back for Stoke. Now taken on the chest by Walters. Into Jones. Jones with a header. And a tumbling, easy save in the end, though, for Jääskeläinen. Jones didn't really get any power in the header. And now Jääskeläinen, on his 504th appearance for Bolton, preparing to clear. But what a stunning first half it was for him. I mean, stunning in terms of knocking him out, really, Jääskeläinen, conceding 3 goals in the first half an hour. Now Lee down the right-hand side just shows too much of that to the experienced Huth by the corner flag, and there is experience again, because he just puts it out of play. He knows that Stoke are in the driving seat here. It's a Bolton throw-in, and Steinsson waiting to take it.
Yeah, you mentioned the fact that Cameron Jones got that header there, but of course it was created by his mate Walters, yeah. You know, and that's what he does. He works for his teammates.
Throw from Steinsson, looking for a back header from Davis. It was Shawcross who got there first. Did that go out of play? Well, the linesman says no. And it's Sorensen's ball. Don't forget, Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0, being watched by Sir Alex Ferguson. He'll be pretty keen on that being a final scoreline, of course. United's next match is at Newcastle on Tuesday. You'll hear that on 5 Live. Arsenal play at Spurs on Wednesday night. And of course, as soon as we get news of Jamie Carragher from John Murray, let's do that right now. Let's go back to John Murray at Arsenal.
Well, it's still 0-0, Mike, and they're still treating Jamie Carragher on the field after that accidental clash of heads with his teammate John Flanagan on the edge of his own area. The medical people from both Liverpool and Arsenal have been on the field treating him. The sort of evidence that we can see with the naked eye would suggest that he may well have been knocked cold, and they've put him in the recovery position. They've put a neck brace on him now, and still treating him out there on the field. Kyriakos will come on to replace him, and now finally the stretcher is being lifted up and Jamie Carragher is being carried off the field. And as you can hear, the whole of the Emirates Stadium applauding off this immensely popular player, Jamie Carragher. And we'll tell you more as soon as we can.
Thank you, John. It's Etherington on the ball now for Stoke City. Chips the ball in. Jääskeläinen's lost it. Walters to Jones, can score. Great defending though by Bolton. It was Robinson who managed to get his body in there. And Bolton looking to clear. Elmander very slow to react to that pass from Muamba. It's back on the halfway line. And Stoke are still the likelier team. So just wasn't able to really reflect on that Carragher story there, because Stoke were going forward. But they've had a whole catalogue of injuries, Liverpool. Agger, of course, is also out. But I mean, John is absolutely right, Pat, isn't he? I mean, it's not surprising to hear the Arsenal fans were applauding Carragher there. He's mightily popular in the game, isn't he?
I mean, yeah, most players will get a ripple of applause, but Jamie Carragher will get more than that. Hugely respected.
It's Elmander now looking for Davis. Chance here. Good defending though by Shawcross. Shawcross in the nick of time, a corner.
That's just exactly what Bolton need. They need to get something, just a little nick, something to get the fans who are right behind that goal, to get them going, to drag the team forward. That was a lovely little nutmeg there, but didn't end up in the goal. But they've got a corner kick.
17 minutes gone in the second half. 3-0 down. Bolton have a corner kick, and they haven't got another one because the last touch was Bolton's. Knight possibly going in there, or was it Steinsson? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's been headed wide, and we've already played 17 minutes of the second half. This is 5 Live. Owen Coyle made the changes that he had to make at half-time. He can still make one more if he wants to. He's brought on Mark Davis to play in midfield. Elmander's now partnering Kevin Davis, and Petrov, who was completely ineffective, was taken off, as was Klasnic.
Do you know, I think people will be phoning in and get in touch 5 Live eventually to say that Bolton fans will say that there's no heart and soul in this Bolton performance. I'm not convinced it is that. I think there is effort there, but I do think they have lacked confidence right from the start of the game. Just a few minutes ago, Robinson got the ball again and then played the most aimless pass you'll ever see in your life into the middle of the field. And once again, Stoke got the ball, they drove forward. But I felt a little bit sorry for him because he wanted to be brave, he wanted to play a pass. Nobody showed for it.
It's a Delap throw-in into the penalty area, which Walters reaches for. Doesn't get it, and Young clears. Bolton being pushed back though once more by Stoke City. Delap of Stoke. A bit short, that pass to Etherington, who goes down and wins a free kick. There was a bit of gamesmanship maybe from Tony Pulis coming into the game, the old defence mechanism. You could understand what he was trying to do, but I never personally bought into the fact that he said Stoke were the underdogs here. They didn't have the experience of the Bolton players. Well, they do. Frankly, they have very experienced players around this team. Pennant, of course, Champions League final, Etherington FA Cup final, Huth, who's really played big games for Chelsea, Germany, and of course Sorensen, very canny goalkeeper from Denmark. Now there's enough experience in this Stoke team, and they are making it count out there against Bolton Wanderers. A little bit of a delay here. Etherington hasn't got up following the injury, so the players here are just having some refreshment on what has been quite a warm afternoon. Back again to John Murray. Arsenal-Liverpool.
Play back underway now, Mike. Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0. But I think what's happened to Jamie Carragher has had an effect on the players here. It feels very subdued now. And the news from down on the touchline was that when Jamie Carragher was stretchered off the field, he was conscious. So that's good news. But still 0-0.
Thank you. And in terms of Arsenal, of course, I mean, their problems, Pat, as we just look at the Premier League, they've all been at the Emirates Stadium just lately, haven't they? Breaking teams down.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that is a big difference, just that last step with Arsenal. We all know that's been a problem for a long period of time. And I have to say, I'm not hugely surprised. I know they've got very good players. I love watching them like everyone else, but there's just that extra little bit of devil that you need at the very, very top level that they don't always show. Etherington's just got back up now. There's a reason why he got injured here. I felt quite sorry for him, but there's a trick, a type of skill that's used by a lot of players in the modern game where they drag the ball back and they don't expect to take a hit. It's a skill that I could do, but never ever use because it was so dangerous. You could get done so easily.
Pat Nevin with us on 5 Live, watching a pennant free kick for Stoke City, leading by 3-0. Knight gets his head to the ball first. Still potential danger though as the ball's headed back, and Walters unmarked to the penalty area, doesn't get a very good touch on the ball. Jääskeläinen makes half a save. Jones can't turn it into the far post. It really should be 4-0.
That's comedy. I cannot believe they didn't score a goal there. Walters, first of all, comedy defending from Bolton for a kick-off. They'll leave Walters totally in his own in the middle of the penalty box. Great save by Jääskeläinen, give them that. But when the ball gets flicked over again, there's great chances in the middle there. I think Huth was in there, but Kedwin Jones caught in two minds, didn't know whether to header it or wait till it came down, did neither, missed a chance. But terrible defending again from Bolton. As you say, should have been 4.
Nothing that Bolton have been able to do to turn this around. By the way, if it stays 0-0 at Arsenal, then Arsenal will be 6 points behind Manchester United with 6 games to go. They do, of course, have the game against Manchester United at the Emirates in a couple of weeks. That's why Sir Alex Ferguson is there today, checking out the opposition. And Manchester United play at Newcastle on Tuesday. Arsenal take on Tottenham on Wednesday.
Of course, in Arsenal have to consider themselves the fact that Chelsea are on a little bit of a run in the league.
Yep. Chelsea play Birmingham in midweek on Wednesday. Here, as we move towards the halfway point of the second half, the ball is back again with Jussi Jääskeläinen. There are empty red seats now to our right, the Bolton end. What a day for them, and getting up this morning so full of joy and hope, coming down to London to be 3-0 down after half an hour. Watching their side failing to go forward again. It's Stoke coming forward with Walters. His touch let him down a few moments ago. He's taking defenders with him. Gets a shot in all the way past Jääskeläinen. Walters strikes from distance. Stoke City lead by 4-0, and they can celebrate their first appearance ever at an FA Cup final. They will be back to take on Manchester City. Stoke City 4, Bolton 0.
You can see quite a number of things. He was allowed to run a hell of a long way there. Gets the ball just about on the halfway line, and nobody makes a challenge on him. He goes down the sort of inside left position, as it were, but he's hit the ball, and it's into Jääskeläinen's left-hand post again. That's 3, that's 4. It's incredible that happens. I am not surprised. In fact, I did say in the first half that I thought he would score in the second half. Long overdue. He should have scored about 5-10 minutes ago. but if we had any doubt before, we don't have any now.
Sorry, Alan, I was just about to give you the microphone when Walters ran through. 4-0.
Perfectly okay, Mike. I think within 5-10 minutes we might be looking out upon a half-empty Wembley Stadium, because that fourth Stoke goal was immediately greeted by a large number of Bolton fans getting up out of their seats and joining those who left in the first half. And it could be very, very embarrassing at the end, not just in terms of, you know, the number of fans left in the stadium representing Bolton, but the scoreline representing Bolton. Here's Elmander just outside the Stoke penalty area, finding Steinson. Steinson crosses on the right, it hits Etherington and goes behind for a corner to Bolton Wanderers. 21 minutes to go, 4-0 down. Well, only Newcastle United can come back from 4-0 down. They did that against Arsenal this season. It's not going to happen here. A corner played in by Taylor, easily plucked from the air by Sorensen.
They haven't looked like it, Alan, that's the thing. They haven't at any point.
Not at any stage,
no.
Pat.
There was a wee moment there where there was a little, ball played through the legs, but, and it was an attempted bit of shot and goal, but really I think the Stoke defenders were on top of it. They've been on top of their game so far, and I think all over the field. I mean, in every position, I think every Stoke player's been better. I will say one player for Bolton. I think Cahill, oddly, has played fairly well. His team have lost 4 goals, and he's not been too bad.
Looked like a foul on Elmander by Robert Huth, who's got away with a number of foul tackles today. Hardware's been very lenient, but it is a Bolton free kick at 25 yards from goal. It was being questioned by Whelan rather, but it's in a very central position, and they have to strike quickly. Taylor will hit it surely.
Yeah, I mean, he's very, very good in these situations, so it's just a shame for them, because at 3-3-1 you've got a chance. 4-4-1 it's unlikely, even so
Taylor surely will hit it. Mark Davis is close to the ball as well, but at the moment Hardware's just concerned that the Stoke wall is back to full 10 yards. Now he's happy, and we wait, and Matty Taylor, to give Bolton hope, drives the free kick straight into the Stoke wall, and it rebounds almost to the halfway line. Moamba back to Knight, and Knight hits it high upfield into the penalty area. Ball tossed for Taylor. Taylor's shot saved by Sorensen. First serious save he's had to make.
Yeah, and that's goalkeepers for you. Very good goalkeepers. Not much to do, and when they're finally called into action, they do exactly what they need. That ball's thudded into the ground. Still gets a save.
Taylor's corner was played into the near post. Lee tried to convert it into a goal, but it's knocked behind by Whelan. It's another corner. We'll be going to the Emirates in a moment, but let's stick with this Bolton corner kick. Bolton 0, Stoke 4 in the FA Cup semi-final. It's played in deeper, looking at Knight, headed away well by Kenwyne Jones, off to John Murray.
Liverpool 0, 20 minutes to play plus lots of added time because of the injury to Jamie Carragher. Kenny Dalglish has made his final change. Andy Carroll withdrawn, and John Joe Shelby comes on. Carroll has also been struggling, I think, with an ankle injury, and Arsene Wenger's just made a double change. Bentner and Arshavin on for Wilshere and Walcott. Still 0-0.
Thank you. We missed the first part of John's report there, so I'm glad that he reiterated that it's 0-0 at the Emirates. Another change imminent for Bolton Wanderers. Moreno is coming on to replace Moamba.
Again, Moamba, actually, he's had a very quiet game. And, I mean, he's really had very little impact here. I think there's no doubt in my mind that the actual midfield battle has been won quite easily by Stoke on this occasion. But Moamba, for me, he's usually a player who's powerful, who can control it just off the pace today.
And Elmander's back in the midfield role that he started the game with. Moreno's up front with Kevin Davis.
He's trying everything on, Kyle. He's trying everything he can.
I'd like to be encouraging for Bolton for their sakes, but I just can't find any cause. And the Stoke fans are just dancing up and down at the moment. They know they'll be back in a short period of time, back to Wembley for the FA Cup final against Manchester City. Meantime, Delapa's got a throw in for them. Midway inside the Bolton half. It's thrown deliberately to Walters, who miscontrols it, and it's behind for a goal kick. I still think back to that first goal and the error by Robinson, and I think that had such a deflationary effect on the whole of the Bolton team.
I think it was a defining moment really for the team, because we have to remember in the widest context, Bolton, Owen Collins tried to change the style from a team that knew how to play a certain way, that were one-dimensional, they played it long. I'm not saying some teams were only that, but they knew in defensive areas that's what they do. More of a football team, but you need to have belief when they get caught out.
Oh goodness, what a hack by Robinson on the far side of the field. That's got to be at least a yellow card.
Stick on, absolute stick on yellow card, and it's not been.
He's had a horror show, Robinson.
Yeah, and not always all of his own making, it has to be said. I don't think he's got any help at all.
It's a wild challenge.
You know, if he pulled out a red here, you wouldn't really.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. That really was awful from Paul Robinson.
You don't see many that obviously deliberate with the ball that far away, but I mean, there's a bit. I mean, it's not an excuse. It's possibly a reason that he is incredibly frustrated. He's had a difficult afternoon, and that's about the closest he's got to Jermaine Pennant in the past 70 odd minutes.
I was glad that Mike Dean actually produced the red card yesterday, because that was the appropriate response to Paul Scholes' challenge, and there are many who would argue that it shouldn't be yellow that Hardweb is showing Paul Robinson, but red. I think he's
actually arguing.
He's being lenient.
He's arguing back.
Well, he's got no right whatsoever.
Yes, I know.
Horror show from Paul Robinson. By the way, the attendance at Wembley is officially given as 75,064, but it's not 75,064 now.
No, I think if you look up at the top of the stadium, the cheap seats, a lot of those people have gone, but the ones that expensive
here.
Well, the more expensive seats down the bottom, most of them have actually stayed. They need to get their money's worth, such as it is.
To John Murray at the Emirates.
Clear opening for Liverpool, but not taken by Suarez, so it's still 0-0 after Carroll went off. It's still 2 up front for Liverpool. Count has gone up there to play alongside Suarez. And for Arsenal, Nasri's now moved into a central area. Still 0-0.
Thank you very much. Commentary continues in that game on 5 Live Sports Extra. The lines are open for 606 0500 909 693. Do give me a call. Important weekend, of course, in the FA Cup with the 2 semi-finals. But what about those relegation matches in the Premier League? And if Arsenal can't beat Liverpool, and away to Tottenham on Wednesday night, might their title challenge to Manchester United end this week, effectively? Moreno tries to bring the ball under control, doesn't, and Whelan plays it back to Sorensen. Sorensen, the Stoke goalkeeper, out to the far side of the field, and Wilkinson. There's still 14 minutes left here on 5 Live in this second of the FA Cup semi-final, sponsored by Eon, and if Stoke are interested, they could hit 6.
They could, but they've got important games coming up, so I mean, certainly 1 or 2 players oddly might be thinking you don't want to get injured. You don't want to leave all your energy in this pitch, because it is famously a sapping pitch and it is a warm day, etc. But
I mean, they're just 5 points above the drop zone. They're not.
Well,
they're not out of danger. And this week they've got to play Aston Villa away on Wednesday night, and then they're at home to Wolves on Saturday.
They could do. They would just like a win. That would, they could relax for the rest of the season, get the build up for the cup final, because with 14 minutes to go, I'm giving them it. But that's what they'd like to do, and certainly the manager sees that himself. He's making a few changes.
Yeah, Whitehead's going to come on very shortly for Stoke City. That was just launched upfield by Sorensen to no good effect to Jääskeläinen, who, if you're being really critical, was slightly at fault for 2 of the goals that I think went under his left hand.
Well, the fourth one went under his hand as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they were well positioned.
Well, I thought Huths went under his left hand too.
Struck into the corner, and everything was so obviously put into that far corner that you wonder if he's been looked at, and maybe they think there's a slight, if he's weaker on any side, he's weaker on his left hand side.
Here's the change for Stoke. Whitehead coming on, and who's it coming off? Etherington, is it? I can't quite see the number, to be perfectly honest.
16 for 18 at the moment.
Right.
So Pennant, who's already gone off because he's limping somewhere.
Yeah, well, Pennant's coming off. Well, he was just hacked down ruthlessly there by Paul Robinson a couple of minutes ago, but he seems to have recovered.
Well, again, it's back to that. Why do you want players to get injured at this point? The game should be finished unless something extreme happens. And Pennant looked very good today. A bit in and out of the game, but when he did get involved in the game, it had an impact.
He did really well. Both wide players for Stoke, Pennant Etherington. Here's Bolton on the attack now. Bolt's inside the Stoke penalty area momentarily, and then it's lashed away to safety by Whitehead, and it's away on the far side of the field. Cameron Jones almost got past the defender. Knight managed to put his right foot in the ball and tucks it behind for a corner.
I'll tell you what, he had to get that boot in. He just thought that Jones was going to get away. He's just got the slightest of touches. He misses that touch, gets the player, it's a penalty kick, man sent off, nightmare continued.
Bolton 0, Stoke 4. 11 minutes to go here. At the Emirates, it's Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0. Corner to Stoke City in front of their fans, none of whom, of course, has left Wembley Stadium. Etherington signals, then he delivers it, left-footed, swinging in toward the far post, but Kevin Davis realised it was overhit, just ducked, and the ball went over his head and behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, what a joy it is for the Stoke players, but also the Stoke fans as well. I mean, how often will they in their lifetimes come to Wembley and be able to relax and enjoy a second half knowing that they're going to win, and just wait for that moment at the end of the game where they give that explosion of noise and celebrate historically getting back into an FA Cup final.
Yeah, their only major honour was the League Cup in 1972. This will be their first ever FA Cup final in 138 years of Potter's history. Elmander chips the ball forward, cleared by Whitehead, up towards Cameron Jones. Jones, good control, plays it back to Whelan. Whelan on the halfway line, Whitehead to his right, behind him it's Wilkinson. Oh, poor pass from Wilkinson, but it's won back by Whelan, and Whelan plays it to Etherington near side of the field. Walters ahead of him. Etherington comes forward, crosses early in towards Cameron Jones, and Knight missed it completely. I think that put Jones off. He couldn't collect possession, and it should be cleared on the far side by Robinson, taking his time about it. He put Taylor in a bit of bother, but it's back to Robinson, and this time Robinson hits it toward the halfway line. Stoke had the ball back, flick forward by Wilkinson, back it comes from Taylor, and here's Cameron Jones, right side of the penalty here, low ball back, must be a chance for Walters. Walters shoots it 5-0. It's absolutely a hammering for Bolton Wanderers. What a day for Stoke City.
And Walter's movement has been fantastic, and once again there he gets into the right position. A real sniffer's goal at Wembley. I think there might have been a slight sniff of offside at some point there, but there's no complaints from the Bolton players there. You know, Cameron Jones, great effort, great work rate to get into that area, and that's what they've got just now, all over the park. They have been better in every single position, and by the way, that came from a mistake once again, that they should have finished it off, but it just shows you when they create a chance, they create more than one, they create a couple.
And the greatest exodus of Bolton fans so far.
And by the way, guess what end of the goal it goes in? It's that left hand side again.
Yep.
Nothing the keeper could do in that way. You know, we complain about the keeper,
not really. They've defended very poorly today, Bolton Wanderers, which is so unlike them.
There's a huge psychological difference between 4 and 5. I know it doesn't make any great difference. You're going out, you know, it's not as if goal difference is going to make any difference, but 5-0 I think officially becomes a hammering. You know, we know 6-0 is, but 4 maybe isn't, you know, but 5 is a hammering, and it's those Bolton players, they just want to go off that pitch right now, and those Bolton fans, well, they want to get away, and they're making it clear why. Making it clear by doing just that, they're going there.
Ricardo Fuller coming on as the latest substitute for Stoke City, at least when play stops. Ball back with Jaskalainen. Poor Jaskalainen. I bet he didn't come here today thinking he could possibly pull the ball out of his net 5 times. And let's get an update from the Emirates. John Murray.
Got 7 minutes to play here of normal time, plus probably something like 7 minutes of added time because of the injuries. Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0, and to be honest, Alan, Liverpool have created clearer opportunities to score the opening goal in the second half than Arsenal have. It's another one of those frustrating occasions for the home fans. 0-0.
And reminding you, 0500 909 693, the number to call for 606 will come up probably a little later. Not because of any delay here, but because of the time that will need to be played at the Emirates Stadium. We'll get the last few minutes of that Premier League encounter once this semi-final is over.
Do you think a few Bolton fans may be able to phone you on the way home, and actually a few of them might be just about home by now?
They just might be too sorry
See, I don't actually feel too bad about it. I mean, it's a horrible thing. I hate to see fans leaving early, and as part of me, I was brought up to stay to the end of every game, and applaud your team off the park for their efforts, however bad the day it's been. But I can understand it today. This is heartbreaking for them. They've waited a long time to get to this sort of
Cameron
position.
Jones is down at the moment, I think with a touch of cramp, I would suspect. So he's the obvious one to replace with Fuller. Meantime, play continued, and the ball is out of play on the far side of the field. Is it a throw in or is it going to be a corner? Doesn't really matter to Bolton now.
Yeah, and Howard Webb goes and helps Cameron Jones off, and he's
going to be replaced now.
Actually, that is probably, when you talk to Tony Pulis after the game, he will mention the fact that in the cup final, he'll be excited about that. But he'll also mention the fact that Pennett's going off with a bit of an injury. I think Jones has put a bit of a shift in today, and it's good to see that, because that doesn't always happen with Cameron Jones, but when he puts the effort in, he can be fabulous. I think he did a great game today. But also, Etherington has had a little bit of a difficulty in the last wee while. I think he's suffering with an injury as well just now. This might actually come at a cost, this win.
Corner to Bolton, 5.5 minutes to go, plus added time here at Wembley. And there's some pushing inside the penalty area again. Steinson appeared to be pushed over by Walters, and now there's a disagreement between Walters and Steinson. Hardweb is in there, pulling Steinson clear, but I still wait for the day when a referee will be bold enough to give a penalty kick.
Well, if they would have, they'd probably given 3 penalties against Stoke today, because they've just grabbed and held, and they're doing it again right now.
Taylor plays it in. Davis gets highest of all, but heads it wide. Never threatened the goal.
Do you know what? I watched the referee right at the start of the game for all these, and look, we're getting a lot of replay of it. How many penalties can you see in front of you right now in this replay? I can see about 4. Yeah. Drag, pull. You're not supposed to be able to pull and push the players you're playing against. And the hands are all over the players. But
it's an argument we have practically every commentary. If referees started to penalise that kind of thing, it would soon stop. We'd have a rash of penalties, but it would have to stop. Then wise up. Here's Ricardo Fuller getting away from Cahill. Cahill dives in the challenge. Oh, referee decided it's a free kick.
I thought he got the ball.
So did I.
I was convinced. And we're a long way away here.
Well, he's booking Cahill, but my initial reaction was that he got the ball.
Well, I have to say, Hardware, first of all, what a great position he got himself into. He's just beside it. Do you know what? He blew it. He got it wrong. We got it right.
Free kick, anyway, whatever we think.
Touch of the ball.
Yep.
Well, the referees have got the get-out argument now. They can say reckless, which can mean anything. It's so subjective. But you go to ground, you get a tackle, you put it out for a corner kick. In actual fact, the referee doesn't see the touch there.
Anyway, Pugh will come on shortly for Stoke City. We're inside the final 4 minutes at Wembley in the FA Cup semi-final. What a day for Stoke. Bolton 0, Stoke 5. Etherington with a free kick just to the left of the Bolton penalty, deliberately played deep and headed behind by Knight for a corner to Stoke City. The target was the captain Shawcross.
I know this is FA Cup semi-final, but I'll tell you what, Owen Coyle will be absolutely delighted that this is happening when Bolton are safe, because this could have one hell of a psychological effect between now and the end of the season in Bolton, because it's been a hammering. Every area of the field it has been a stinker for Bolton today.
Well, the substitution's going to be made before this Stoke corner. Etherington is the man being taken off. Does he know it?
Player?
In fact, he was going to take the corner. Well, he was over there on the far side of the field, ready to take the corner, and he's being replaced.
Yeah. I think that was quite often. I mean, I've been there myself. You know, if you're try to waste time at the end of a game, you will go to the furthest away point, and then it saves sort of kills a little bit of time. But I think he genuinely was over there. But I also think he's got a little bit of an injury as well.
Yep.
And that is a slight concern for Tony Pulis. But big hug for the manager, and he deserves it. I think it's a great game today.
All the substitutions made, and the corner is going to be played in, right-footed, delivered deep, looking for Huth. Huth got his head on the ball, but it was only a glancing header, and I think it's gone out of play for a throw into Bolton Wanderers. It's still Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0, and the last 5-0 in a semi-final, I'm told, was 1939. Somebody's worked hard to get this. Wolves beat Grimsby 5-0. I know Mike was there. But
touch harsh, I think.
He was commentating. No. Of course he was.
I was on the bench.
Don't be silly, Alan. I once saw 4-0 involving Nottingham Forest and West Ham at Villa Park, which is in far more recent times. Ball's out of play on this near side of the field.
It's just a build-up now with the Stoke fans, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're slowly but surely building it up to what is going to be an explosion of sound when, I was going to say 90 minutes, it'll probably 94 minutes.
But I'm in the same camp as you, and I would like to applaud there are still thousands of Bolton fans inside the stadium, and that's great to see.
Yeah.
Because it must be hurting like hell. Throw in, taken by Delap, headed down by Steinsen, and played by Almander, out of play. Another throw in to Stoke City. And there have only been one or two moments in the entire 90 minutes that Bolton have looked anything like themselves.
They've actually looked tired. I mean, psychologically, you get tired when you lose an early, you lose a goal, and certainly lose the early goal. It takes the wind out of yourselves. But they look to me like a team that's run out of puff this season. Just
Walter's good.
Too far.
Back heel to Pugh, and Pugh plays it off. Mark Davis behind. Oh well, the referee, the flag must be up for offside. It is up for offside, and it's a free kick to Bolton Wanderers. We're inside the final minute of the 90 minutes, and we had two changes at half time. We've had 4 substitutions in the second half. A hold up for an injury to Jermaine Pennant.
Which I guess,
I would say 4 minutes.
4 is the right one, I'm sure of that.
4 minutes. Though Bolton would rather it wasn't anything like that. Matthew Etherington named man of the match. I gather
it's a fair call, but I think there's quite a few Stoke players out there it would be worth a call. And I know you win 5-0, but you've got to look at defenders as well.
The officials are being kind. It's only 3 minutes of added time.
That's
0500 909 693, the number for 606, and we'll be going to the Emirates for commentary on the closing moments of Arsenal-Liverpool, which is still 0-0, as soon as the final whistle goes here. There's a shot by Taylor, high and wide, goal kick.
Can I very quickly say for any Stoke fans just before they phone up for 606, they played some good football today.
Yes, they have.
They've actually, as the game has developed, particularly, I think they tend to go long early, and overpower teams early on. And then when the space opens up, they get the players on the ball, can play a bit of football. And I think as the game has developed, they've played more and more football, and they've looked really, really tidy as the game's gone on.
So yesterday's win from Manchester City was narrow. This certainly hasn't been narrow for Stoke City, and they're chasing a 6th goal here. Fuller into the penalty area, into the Bolton penalty area, and rather selfishly he shot from a very acute angle. There were 2 colleagues he could have played the ball to. He's lucky to get a corner.
It's not often you see 5 goals scored at Wembley in a cup game, so if you score 5 goals you usually remember it. It's very special.
By the way, there are 8 minutes of added time at the Emirates Stadium, and we'll have commentary on most of them, but about a minute of added time remaining here at Wembley. Ball's on the edge of the Bolton penalty area, but Kevin Davis wins it, beating Robert Huth, and then played it off the German. No, he didn't play it off the German, he tried to, and the ball's out of play on the far side of the field for a throw in to Stoke City. Level with the edge of the Bolton penalty area. It feels such a hurtful day for Bolton. Throw goes to Walters, and Walters cleverly wins a corner off Kevin Davis. Gordon Banks is in the crowd here at Wembley Stadium, and how proud he will feel. Played in semi-finals in 1971 and 1972 for Stoke. Both lost. Today they win. Corner from the right. Hit high into the penalty area. They're still on the attack. Huth with the header goalwards. A simple save though from Jääskeläinen, and we've got 40 seconds of added time remaining here.
And it's been such a long time. The last quarter of this game, all it has been is a build-up, and you can hear the fans whistling. They want that kind of whistle to be blown. It's not been blown now. 1 or 2 of them think it has been.
Yeah, because it was the way Hardweb reacted there. He seemed to put the whistle to his lips, but he hasn't blown. Here's Robinson. He started all the damage for Bolton, playing it forward again. It was a weak, aimless ball, and it's taken clear by Stoke City. It's with Walters. Walters chips it forward. Pugh is after it, down the left touchline. Pugh still running forward, and then he's shrugged over by Almander. That should be a free kick. And that is the final whistle, not a free kick. Stoke celebrate, and a final thought from Pat Nevin.
Yeah, I think Stoke played incredibly well today, and Bolton just want to forget about it. They stayed in the Premier League this season, and with some comfort and with some confidence, but there's a bit of building to be done in this. I've run out of steam in this game and maybe the end of the season as well, but it's Stoke's day. A lot of very good play today from Stoke and the power play. In actual fact, they are going to be tough to beat in the final.